Hold your water.
Well, I have.
You had a good giggle.
I was familiar with that trend, but I never realised the
fun
I would have slapping someone around the side of a face with
a tortilla,
with a tortilla wrap.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't It wasn't full.
It appears like I did it harder than I did. I was being dramatic. It was only a gentle little slap. Like
I could hear it.
No,
I could hear it out in Churchill.
That was post-production sound effects.
Oh, was oh yeah, yeah. It was good.
That's not true.
Who mopped up all the water upstairs afterwards?
I think
it
was just left to dry out.
Was it? Yeah, it would. Yeah.
So no, it was good fun actually.
It was good crack.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
So what are you doing tomorrow night? You going?
I'll have to go out for the crack.
Did you get a lift home yet?
No.
Do you want us to lift you home?
Would you leave me home?
If Ashleen's listening, she can text.
Actually, when you leave me home, Ashley, you leave Greg where he is.
No.
Take me home. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
Deal or no deal?
I think. Well, I'm not driving, obviously.
No, that's good. Shall we see how it goes?
Yeah. So that's that.
So we're going out because Katie that worked here. She's
we've got Friday, a small amount to drink. Saturday, all day anxiety hangover.
No. Full on daddy mode and
with an anxiety hangover.
Pizza's going and everything, all the food that you shouldn't be eating.
Yes, so go on to our social media if you wish on Instagram. The way Instagram and Facebook's linked, it annoys me, but anyway, it's the way everyone does it. Like I want to see something on Facebook. I don't really use Instagram.
What do you mean you want? What do you want to see on Facebook? What does that statement mean?
When links are shared from Instagram to Facebook, then you have to click through Facebook into
But what
Instagram.
are you on about this linking and Facebook and thing for? About what?
My video.
Oh, your
the
video.
Viral video.
Oh, right. You should have said you missed that bit out.
Sorry.
So to see this challenge, the rock paper scissors.
Yeah, sorry,
What is the Caesar salad challenge?
I don't know what it is. Yeah. Go on to Instagram.
That's great. No, that's good. If you need a good giggle, right?
Did you laugh?
I laughed, surely. No, but do you know where I was? I was down. Mum's in the hospital. I was down in the hospital watching it on the ward, right? But I had the volume knocked off, and I was giggling away to myself, and everybody's trying. Some people were snoring, some people were having to talk to the doctors, and there was me laughing away. And my mum was sleeping in the bed beside me, and she'd be thinking, "What is that boy looking at?" But I didn't have the volume up, you see. But anyway,
all right,
have a good show, right?
Take care of yourself. Have a lovely Thursday. Looking forward to chatting to you on Friday, tomorrow morning, of course. All right, it is the 9 till noon show. Let's get a news update at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The bus Éireann Donegal Dublin route has been brought before the Dáil by a Cavan TD. Deputy Pauline Tully says the bus stops in Cavan and it's chronically late. She asked Transport Minister Eamon Ryan what measures are being put in place to see this rectified. Deputy Tully says a couple who rely on the service in her constituency for the airport are never on time.
For example, one couple contacted me and they divide their time between Britain and Ireland. So they use the bus service to the airport approximately once a month for a period of over the last 3 years, and they said not once has the bus come on time. It is consistently late, and it's anything from 30 minutes to an hour. We're not talking about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Nobody would mind that. We know that buses can get held up.
The 100% Redress Party has called on Donegal County Council to amend its existing civil defence plan to provide rest centres for defective block homeowners during severe weather events. Councillor Joy Beard has warned that homeowners living in unsafe properties or in caravans while remediation works are being carried out on their property need to be provided with a place of refuge in the wake of a status red weather warning being issued. Over the weekend, the party issued an urgent plea to government to immediately adopt an emergency storm protocol for affected homeowners. Councillor Joy Beard said a plan urgently needs to be put in place.
I have been told the civil defence plan isn't due to be reviewed until 2026. And that's too late for a lot of these families. And these houses, as I say, are really deteriorating rapidly and our winters are getting worse. So there has to be a plan in place that if there is a severe weather warning, that we need to have somewhere for these families to go. We need to remember a red weather warning does mean in danger to life.
The PSNI is to re-engage with previous high-risk victims of gender-based violence in the north. It comes as it's been revealed 6 women and 1 girl have been murdered so far this year. This includes 2 women in Derry who were killed just days apart in separate incidents. 57-year-old Sophie Watson's body was discovered with a number of stab wounds in the Ashgrove Park area of Maherafelt on Sunday, the 18th of August, while 65-year-old Montserrat Matterell was raped and killed the following Saturday. Ballyshannon Gardaí made an arrest yesterday morning for suspected drug driving. During a routine mandatory intoxicant testing checkpoint, they stopped a driver who tested positive for cannabis. The motorist was subsequently arrested and a blood sample was taken for analysis. Taking to social media, the Gardaí urged drivers to avoid the risk of endangering lives by driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And now to weather, mainly dry this morning with a few sunny spells, becoming cloudier in the afternoon with rain spreading from the west this evening. That's with highs of 14 to 16 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. We'll be back with more at 10 o'clock.
At 3 Business, we've made it our business to help your business save money. Enjoy unlimited calls, texts and data, plus a free Samsung Galaxy S24 with our 3 Business Advanced plan. And all with 99% 4G nationwide population coverage. Now that's a deal you can't refuse. Sign up to 3 Business in-store or at 3.ie/business. Offer available to new business customers switching to 3 on the 3 Business Advanced plan. 24-month minimum term applies. See 3.ie.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, very good morning to you. You're very welcome along to this Thursday's edition of the 9 till Noon Show. It's approaching 5 minutes past 9 on the 24th of October 2024. Is it a 1 week today's Halloween, isn't it? I believe it is. Anyway, nothing to spook you too bad over the next 3 hours, we do hope. Just the usual mix of topics to keep you informed and entertained and engaged, we do hope. And you can stay engaged with us via our text and WhatsApp numbers 086 60 25,000. You can send your voice notes to that number if you wish as well. If you're outside the Republic, 0035386 60 25,000. If you want to give us a call, we always like to take your calls as well, 07491 25,000. And you can email Highland... you can email comments at highlandradio.com. And don't forget, if you are listening to the podcast, which is available from around about 12:30 every afternoon, or if you're listening to the overnight replay, obviously the live lines might not be opened, but you can email and we'll pick up those emails and carry them through to the next day. If you want to watch the show today, if you're at home, Smart TV, Fire Stick, we're on the YouTube app, Highland Radio Ireland, and take us wherever you are on that app or on Facebook and on X. The Tyrconnell Tribune this morning. Plans to rebuild the Creasy supermarket have been put on hold following an issue being raised with the proposed development by Transport Infrastructure Ireland. A decision on the proposal was expected by Donegal County Council this week, but the application lodged in April has now had its status changed to on hold, according to the council website. The shop was destroyed in the tragic explosion on October 7th, 22, where 10 people lost their lives and several others were injured. Vivo Shell Limited applied on April 18th last to the local authority to redevelop the site with a new building and forecourt layout. They sought the demolition of the existing building and construction of a new building that incorporates a Class 1 commercial building with shop, post office, off-licence store, deli, toilets, including accessible toilets, staff-well facilities and a forecourt. Now, there's more details of that planning application and as to why it's on hold on the front of and inside the Tyrconnell Tribune. Today, the Donegal News, their lead story, a Ballybofey couple who have tirelessly campaigned for surrogacy legislation are calling for no more delays in enacting change. Marie McPhillamy and her husband John are proud parents to Lucy, a 5th class pupil in Dewish National School, born to them through surrogacy, effectively. There's a medical term here that I'm not going to stumble across. In the eyes of the law, Mrs. McPhillamy is Lucy's guardian, not her mother, as it was her sister Sharon who gave birth to her. This has given rise to legal uncertainty in that the signing of consent forms for medical intervention, passport applications and even the opening of a bank account for her daughter all currently have to be signed off by her husband. So the husband has sort of the legal parental rights. Mum doesn't, which obviously you can imagine feels incomplete. There was fresh hope in June when the family travelled to Dáil Éireann for the formal passing of the last stage of the Health Assisted Human Reproduction Act 2024. The adopted bill was signed into law by President Higgins on July 2nd. But this law does not become operational until it's formally commenced by a commencement order, which again must be passed. This usually takes around 6 months, so they are in limbo there until such time as that is sorted. And it seems to be just procedural. The main hurdles seem to have been passed, and it just seems to be a procedural issue there. The Derry News, their lead story, Ulster University's Vice-Chancellor would support the increase of university tuition fees to over £9,000. Professor Paul Bartholomew stated his support for the idea while in conversation with Dr. William Crawley at Derry's Ulster University Magee campus. On to the Nationals now, and we'll start with the Irish Independent. And Gardaí will continue their excavation of an area of wasteland behind a house in Dundalk this morning in relation to the disappearance and suspected murder of Kieran Duran, who's listed as 8 here, but very sadly, if he passed or has passed as they suspect, we refer to him being as 8, but the tragedy is he never reached that age. A digger was transported to the site yesterday morning as the search resumed. The wasteland was accessed through the garden of a property behind the terraced house on Emer Terrace to the centre of the investigation. That rented house was Kieran's family home for a number of years until last May. The current occupants of the property and the occupants of the house behind it was used to access the wasteland. They're not connected in any way, shape or form to Kieran or his disappearance. Gardaí would not confirm whether the search of the garden of the house on Emer Terrace had been completed. Meanwhile, children are going missing every month, Aontú leader Peadar Tóibín told the Dáil yesterday. Mr Tóibín said the state care system is broken and that children had been murdered in the past decade. Now, I'm not sure if what these figures relate to or those comments relate to, but as you would know, there is, it seems there's a 13, 14 or 15-year-old or 16-year-old that goes missing every single day in this country. I would know, and it's not always necessarily stated, I would know for a fact that a proportion of these go missing from foster care or care facilities, and they might go missing on more than one occasion. I'm not sure when we talk about missing children if that figure is included, because if it is, they're often, in fact, invariably, they're found a day or two later, or 2 or 3 days later. Some can take a little longer, but all of the ones I've tracked where I know that to be the circumstances have been found and returned to whether it's their home or foster parents or a care facility. So I'm not sure, and be interested maybe to find out if those are the people that Aontú are referring to, or are there others. The majority of the Dáil votes to accept assisted dying report. Now, this is not effectively, well, I suppose you could say it's a paving stone in the way to paving this legislation, which many people are opposed to, and very few people I know seem to be actually too bothered about it being introduced. But anyway, the Dáil has voted by 76 to 53 to accept the assisted dying report after the 3 coalition parties allowed a free or conscious vote when it came before the Houses late last night. A number of government TDs opposed the legislation, but support from Sinn Féin, People Before Profit, which has championed the issue, as well as Labour and the Social Democrats, meant the report was accepted. So those that accepted it, the reason it was accepted is because Sinn Féin, People Before Profit and Labour and the Social Democrats voted in favour of it. Now, this doesn't mean that it's coming into law. This means that the Dáil accepted the report that was furnished before it. Former Minister Simon Coveney opposed, while Government Minister Peter Burke and Norma Foley were also among those who rejected the document. The final report of the Joint Oireachtas Committee on Assisted Dying is based on sittings over 6 months, hearing from over 70 witnesses. The final report, issued in March with 38 recommendations, favours legislation for assisted dying in certain restricted circumstances. Now, the one thing we do know, that something can be voted for by the public with certain restricted circumstances, but then thereafter there's provision for those circumstances to be widened. So as it stands, the report has been accepted. It's worth noting that of the panel that were compiling that report, there were 3, I believe it were 3, who were involved in that opposed the report and outlined their reasons why. A Fine Gael spokesperson said that as the case for issues of conscience, Fine Gael TDs will have a free vote on this. This is a report of a committee as opposed to a vote on legislation. The party echoes the decision of Fianna Fáil, whose leader Micheál Martin said TDs would have a free vote on issues to do with life or issues to do with conscience. So what do you think? As I say, this isn't about bringing it in. This is effectively about accepting the report, even though there were those that opposed it, those compiling the report. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. The Irish Daily Mail seems to want to confirm what we all know. Election will be held on Friday the 25th of November. Simon Harris will call the general election on Friday, November 8th for a polling day on November 29th, senior government sources have said. The Mail also understands that a short, sharp campaign is deemed by senior Fine Gael managers as the best vehicle for the party to reach a target of 45 seats. But sources in the party believe that as many as 50 seats might be achievable, with some saying we're going to party like it's 2007 and Trump back into power just as Bertie Ahern's Fianna Fáil did, while Sinn Féin stumbling from crisis to crisis and its leader Mary Lou McDonald refusing to conduct open press conferences. Sources across Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and the Green Party are making bullish predictions. One cabinet source said, "We're trying to limit this kind of talk, but our candidates and canvassers are reporting back that this campaign is very much like the 2007 one. That means there is very, very positive attitude around returning the government. Despite media attacks and controversy, Bertie Ahern romped home in 2007. Well, the government's not really facing the same sort of attacks and scrutiny that Bertie Ahern did. In fact, some of the coverage seems to be quite purposely very, very favourable. But that's just an observation. It could be wrong, of course. The Irish Farmers Journal, unprotected area could be banned from sale next year. Sorry, it's urea. Unprotected urea could be banned from sale next year under a radical plan agreed by an industry stakeholder group. Only protected urea should be available to Irish farmers from autumn next year. The Agricultural Water Quality Working Group has recommended to the government. The move represents a major shake-up of the fertilizer market, as unprotected urea still accounts for a large proportion of nitrogen sales. The minutes from a recent working group meeting seen by the Irish Farmers Journal stated that the prohibition on the use of unprotected urea would apply from the 15th of September 25 for additional areas, moving to a maximum derogation limit of 220 kilograms of organic nitrogen. This prohibition would apply from 1st of December 25, the minutes read. Now, just to be careful of some of the language in this next article, it's the continuing trial of Barbie Kardashian. And as I say, it's only going to be brief, but some of the terminology or phraseology might offend some. A prison officer has told a court she was terrified when transgender inmate Barbie Kardashian told her she would rape her with an implement. I don't ever recall a situation in the past where we would find ourselves in a situation where a woman would threaten to rape a woman, but this is the situation as it seems to be now. Never ever heard of it before this trial. Roisin Linane told Kardashian's trial she feared for her safety after the accused allegedly issued the threat while she was an inmate on a landing at Limerick prison that was being supervised by Miss Linane. Overall, I was shocked, terrified. I feared for my safety. I never feared a prisoner before, but in this case, I feared for my safety and feared about the prisoner's release date, Miss Linane told Limerick Circuit Criminal Court yesterday. Barbie Kardashian, 22, of no fixed abode, who it was heard was born a male but now identifies as a female and then ended up in a female's prison, denies 3 counts of making threats to kill or causing serious harm to Miss Linane on dates in April and June of 2023. That trial continues. We heard yesterday what it takes to effectively change legally what gender you might identify as. Lots of coverage of the Middle East in the papers today. Just note that it's sort of getting deeper and deeper into the papers. United Nations agencies have warned it could take 350 years for Gaza's battered economy to return to its precarious pre-war level due to the damage imposed by Israel's airstrikes and economic sanctions. Now, if that's not a wipeout, you'd wonder what actually is. 350 years for it to return to the way it was, and it wasn't fantastic prior to that. The UN Conference on Trade and Development said in a report released on Monday that rebuilding could take centuries, even if the war ends tomorrow. Before the war, Gaza was under an Israel and Egyptian blockade imposed after Hamas seized power in 2007. 4 previous wars and provisions between Hamas and the Western-backed Pakistani Authority in the West Bank also took its toll on Gaza's economy. And of course, Lebanon is now being destroyed. And my next comment is not in any way hopefully insensitive or to conflate it, but I did read that it's estimated, and this is the level of destruction over there, bombing in built up in urban areas. They estimate it would take €25 billion to rebuild Lebanon if it were all to stop now. 25 billion, which is a massive figure, and doesn't account for the incredible loss of civilian life. But it did make me wonder how we spend our money here when a hospital is costing, over 3 billion. But some estimates is that you could rebuild the ravaged Lebanon with 25 billion. On to the last paper of the day. It's the Irish Sun. A TD has called on the government to stop Norwegian fishing vessels plundering our mackerel stocks. We heard this locally as well from a councillor. Fianna Fáil's Christopher O'Sullivan urged lawmakers to address the harmful practice of overfishing of stocks of this important species and asked the EU to take urgent action. Speaking in the Dáil, O'Sullivan said, Norwegian vessels are plundering Irish mackerel stocks. They have in conjunction with the UK, them and the Faroe Islands, set themselves massively inflated quotas for mackerel. Let me read that again. They have, in conjunction with the UK and the Faroe Islands, set themselves massively inflated quotas for mackerel. Faroe Islands and UK aren't even in the EU, and yet they're plundering our stocks. This has led to a situation where scientific advice is saying quotas should be reduced by 22%. But it is the Irish boats and the EU boats that are going to face the 22% reduction, which is crazy because the non-EU boats, they fish what they wish to fish. They look at the stocks and go, my God, these stocks are dwindling. We need to stop this fishing. But they really have only the power of the EU to cut it by 22%. And the 22% cut in mackerel quotas was recommended in a recent report by the International Council for the Exploration of the Sea. Ireland's small fishing fleet stands to lose over 10 million in 2025 from the cut. I mean, that's huge and would have massive ramifications. We might maybe speak to that TD if we don't have him already lined up, because I'd be very interested in teasing that out. That's a huge impact on the fishing economy, and I'm sure to be felt not least here in County Donegal. They're already struggling and under pressure, and it's like the death by 1,000 cuts sometimes it feels.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. The 9 till noon show with Sony Centre, Letterkenny, Ireland's only Sony store, offering the best deals guaranteed. TVs, soundbars, headphones, cameras, party speakers and much more. Shop in-store or online at sonycentre.ie.
Get ready for Pumpkin Day at the East Centre, located on the Donegal Derry border, air code F93 F104. This free event is open to everyone. Choose from a great selection of Halloween pumpkins. Enjoy face painting, tasty treats, hot food and tray bakes. Get spooky in our photo booth and don't miss the fancy dress fun. Be there if you dare. That's Pumpkin Day at the East Centre this Saturday the 26th, F93 F104.
Century Complex has spectacular fun this October. Join us for a family fun day on October the 26th and catch Halloween classics like Hocus Pocus on the big screen starting from October the 19th. For more information or to book tickets, call 07491 21976 to celebrate spooky season with us.
At Volkswagen, we've really got to know the people of Ireland. 75 years of understanding what you love, how you live, who you are, and the life you lead. So we've brought you one much-loved car after another. From the original Beetle, the iconic Golf, to today's family-friendly Tiguan and our all-electric ID range. Knowing that whatever you choose, it's you who makes it your Volkswagen. Celebrating 75 years in Ireland. Order your new Volkswagen today.
Looking for fresh, local, convenient shopping? Maple Stores have you covered across Donegal. From Burtonport to Ballyliffin, Carrigart to Castlefin, your local store is always nearby. Proudly Donegal owned, we're also in Moville, Milford, Derrybeg and Falcarra. From apples to AdBlue, we have everything you need whenever you need it, whilst proudly supporting local suppliers. Check out your local Maple Store on Facebook for weekly offers and promotions. Oh, and we also sell fuel too. Maple Stores. Fresh, convenient, local.
Easy Living Furniture's massive Oktoberfest sale has been extended but must end this Sunday. Everything's reduced, including sofas, dining, bedroom, mattresses and accessories. Visit us at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry, or online at easylivingfurniture.co.uk.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
23 minutes past 9. Good morning, Dr. Matt Nichol, astrophysicist from Derry. How are you getting on? Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's great to have you on. Now, you headed up a Queen's University Belfast team that has cracked not one, but two great mysteries concerning black holes. Before we get into that, what's a black hole?
Ooh, black hole is, it sounds very complicated, but I would say in some ways they're the simplest things in the universe. All they are, you take a lot of stuff and you cram it down really small. And at some point it gets so concentrated that the gravity's too strong for anything to escape, and then you got yourself a black hole.
And what have we discovered about black holes? And it sort of surrounds, does it not, the emitting of flashes from black holes? Is that correct?
Yeah. So what we found was from a big black hole in the center of another galaxy. We were looking at this with an X-ray telescope from NASA, and we found that every 48 hours or so, huge burst of X-rays comes out of the middle of this galaxy. So that was already a pretty crazy thing to find. We were quite taken aback when we saw the size of these bursts of X-rays. But what was even more impressive was that 5 years ago, we were looking at the same galaxy and we actually saw it destroy a star. The same black hole tore a nearby star apart. So the two big mysteries, one was whether these X-ray bursts are connected to the destruction of a star a few years earlier, and the other mystery is what actually causes the X-ray burst. So those were the two things that we then tried to understand from this black hole.
And what did you learn in that process then that really it goes even beyond that initial discovery?
So this has been a mystery for a few years. So about the same amount of time ago, about 5 years ago, people found in a few other galaxies, just a handful of galaxies, it's these similar kinds of X-ray bursts. And there was some speculation that they could be connected to stars getting destroyed by the black holes. So first of all, just by the lucky coincidence of seeing these two things in the same galaxy, we proved that indeed there's some connection between black holes destroying stars and these mysterious X-ray bursts. But we think we then figured out what actually causes the bursts is when this black hole destroys the star. So you've got a black hole sitting here and the star's coming in from far away, and as it gets close, the star gets stretched by the black hole's gravity, and it gets torn apart. And eventually what happens is you got a disk of leftover stellar material kind of going around this black hole. If you've ever seen the movie Interstellar, there's a nice picture of the black hole. There's this kind of disk of gas around it. That's exactly what you got here after the black hole destroys the star. And what we think causes the X-ray bursts is that there's another star that's just kind of minding its own business, going around the black hole, not getting close enough to get destroyed. But once this disk of gas forms, all of a sudden your black hole, it's just orbiting, or your star's orbiting calmly around the black hole, starts colliding with it every time it goes around. So every time the star collides with this disk of gas, we get this flash of X-rays.
Wow. And we talk about stars, right? And people look up and they see tiny little flecks of light, okay? But these are large objects.
Yes, I mean, there's of course there's only one star we can look up and sort of see how big it is, and that's our own sun. The sun's a pretty representative star, but this is hundreds of times the size of the Earth across, and many times the mass of the Earth. So these are huge objects, like you say. They're not just little points of light. Every single one of them is absolutely enormous.
And other than sort of solving a mystery, beyond that, is there a usefulness to this information?
Yeah. So one big mystery we have in trying to understand where everything in the universe comes from. One of the things we don't understand is how these black holes form in the centers of galaxies. And we think that nearly every galaxy has one. And without galaxies, you don't have stars, and without stars, we don't have life. So this is a really important part of understanding where we come from, how these galaxies and black holes form in the first place. And by this new technique of seeing these stars going around and colliding with these disks, we can learn how often stars get close to black holes, how many stars live in the centers of galaxies, and whether those stars are actually what feeds the black holes and grows them in the first place. So we hope that this can connect us back to the very early universe and how this all started to form.
Yeah, the universe contained within what?
Who we can only sort of see what's within our own observable
Because something
universe.
can't be formed from. Oh, I don't know. This is too early for me. My head's starting to hurt. It's a remarkable, Matt, isn't it? Really, the expanse of space and its origins and how it all operates. We know nothing really in the wider scale of things. As amazing these advances are, and it's fantastic to have a local angle on it. But we're just scratching the scratch on the scratch of the surface.
It's a big universe. There's a lot of stuff we still have to learn, but it's amazing how far we've come in the last 10, 20 years with modern telescopes and our computers now, how much we've managed to learn about where these things kind of come from.
When you look at all the different planets, stars, or I know there's different terminology for the different objects and such, but it's kind of naive of us. Would it be kind of naive of us to think that we are the only populated planet? I'm just curious as someone... Because, there's going to be planets everywhere with a sun, similar distance, water, air present, I don't know. But it would be incredibly, I don't know, not naive actually, but arrogant almost, to think that this is the only planet that life happened to happen upon.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, the observations seem to suggest that most stars have at least one planet around them. In our Milky Way alone, there's 200 billion stars, and in the universe, there's trillions of galaxies the size of the Milky Way. That's an unimaginable number of planets. There's absolutely no chance that we're the only ones with life on it. No chance at all, I would say.
And just separate to this as well, obviously, Elon Musk's in the news an awful lot. He's determined to make mankind multiplanetary. He sees, and the funny thing is if every time you doubt him, he seems to do something that disproves that doubt. And the most recent return of a rocket, really quite remarkable. It looked like science fiction. You referenced a science fiction film earlier on. It was like science fiction in real life. Do you think he will achieve that? And do you see an advantage to that?
I mean, I find the rocket technology really impressive, and the rockets returning and landing is incredible. I think that our priority should be to look after this planet first.
Yeah, I hear you. That's my feelings too.
To go to other ones,
well, let's not go over there and decide to destroy somewhere else. Let's get this one in order.
Indeed. We're still a long way away from being able to go to planets around other stars. Right now, we can maybe just about get to the planets in our solar system. None of those are especially fun to live on, I would say. Mars is very cold. Venus is very hot. I don't want to go and live there. And, we're probably a century away from being able to travel to another star. So for our lifetime, this is the only one we're going to have. So let's enjoy it. But I'm all for rocket technology and exploring the solar system. Of course.
For sure. Listen, it's amazing what you've achieved. Just as a astrophysicist, what's your day-to-day work, Matt? Is it all research, or how do you sort of apply yourself on a daily basis?
I mean, research is probably my favorite part of the job, but working in the university here at Queen's, there's lots of teaching as well. I enjoy teaching physics and astrophysics. We've got a lot of great researchers here too. I've got a lot of PhD students and other researchers working with me. So a lot of it's collaborating with others and trying to work together in these kinds of projects. And a lot of it's also just sitting at the computer, hitting your head off the screen, trying to figure things out. So it's quite a varied job, I would say.
Yeah, and your name and those of who worked on this, I mean, that's enshrined now. You know what I mean? These are proper advances in our understanding of space that will be reflected on, obviously now after the fact, but in many, many generations to come. It's really quite remarkable and shouldn't be understated. Thank you so much for joining us, Matt, and well done. We really do appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Greg.
All right, take care of yourself and have a wonderful day. Right, that is Dr. Matt Nicol. He's an astrophysicist from Derry, and they have he's led that research which found answers to two things that weren't known before. The black hole has a ring around it, and another star orbiting the same black hole crashes through the massive cloud ring petticoat that's created by another planet being stretched out and what have you. And this creates these cosmic flashes every 48 hours. All right, if that's your thing, if you're into space, you'll have enjoyed that. Back with more shortly.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Sony Centre Letterkenny. From party speakers to TVs, cameras and camcorders, find it all at Ireland's only Sony store. Free deliveries on orders over €100. Visit sonycentre.ie today.
Tony usually hates her morning commute, but something is different today. Tony has a grin brimming from ear to ear and an uncontrollable urge to tap her toes. You see, she just switched to 48 Mobile, so she now gets unlimited data for $12.99 a month and feels like the smuggest person on the bus. 48 Mobile. Good call. T's and C's apply. See 48.ie. $12.99 one-time activation fee. Unlimited data applies to ROI only. Subject to coverage.
Bugamid Fuinev na Héireann. Tríchean na líon rí gás is nua aimsire in Europe. A cur an Fuinev atá tastal wet fáil inniu fud na tíre. Agus anis tá Fuinev na Héireann á bhuga aghainn bhealach nua. Ag tuairt faoin sí níos inmhúnathe isteach sa fíbliana. Gas Networks Ireland, moving Ireland's energy.
Vibrant Glasgow awaits. Fly easily from Donegal Airport with Loganair. Book your tickets now at loganair.co.uk and explore all that Glasgow has to offer. Enjoy convenient travel from Donegal to Glasgow with Loganair.
Running a business isn't easy, but accessing support should be. The new National Enterprise Hub is the single source for all government support for your business. With over 180 supports in one place, it's easier than ever to find grants, advice, training and more. And don't worry about not knowing what you need. Our helpful team will guide you every step of the way. Visit neh.gov.ie to learn how we can help. The National Enterprise Hub. Support starts here, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Be the first to test drive the brand new Nissan Qashqai at iMotors. Low finance rates and up to €4,000 available on trade-in boosters. iMotors are offering any customer who orders before December 23rd the chance to win €10,000. Visit our showroom today.
Join David James in the Jive Time Show this Thursday live from Easy Living Furniture at the Crescent Link Retail Park in Derry. We'll be there to find out more about their biggest sale of the year with up to 60% off absolutely everything in their Oktoberfest sale. We'll have guests, giveaways and more on the day, so join us live this Thursday from the Easy Living Furniture store at the Crescent Link Retail Park. This amazing Oktoberfest sale ends this bank holiday Monday or while stocks last.
We're joined on the programme now by Irish Times security and crime editor Conor Lally. Conor, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Good morning, Greg.
Now, obviously, from a journalistic perspective, you are following what appears to be an awful tragic case surrounding Kieran Duran, who's been missing for a long time now and presumed dead. A very sensitive story, one people are tracking, but one I think it's really important to report correctly, Conor. So I'll take your lead in that regard. So what do we know about this case and bring us up to where we are at now?
Well, I suppose where we are right now is the centre of the case for the last few days has really focused on a house on Emer Terrace in Dundalk, County Louth. And this was the Duran's family home up until May earlier in the year. And while they moved out in May, Gardaí have now been searching that house for the last 3 days, and really they're looking for, any evidence at all which might shed light on what happened to Kieran when he was last alive, and perhaps where he is now or where his remains are now. So really over the last few days, what we've seen is an extensive search in the house, and the rear garden has also been excavated. That rear garden work appears to have been completed, and the Gardaí have now moved to there's a plot of kind of shared green space behind that terrace of houses. So the Gardaí have moved in there, and they're going to excavate and search that area throughout today and perhaps tomorrow as well. So really, because this is the last place that they know the Duran family lived, and they believe Kieran also lived there, they're really trying to, rule it out or as a possibility for finding any clues there, and that's really why they're spending so much time on it. So while that search is taking place, there's other investigations going on. Other people are being tracked down and spoken to, and Gardaí are really just trying to piece together a picture of Kyran's life, really, I suppose, from the middle of 2022, because that was the last time he was last seen in primary school. So the Gardaí have been able to confirm that he was alive towards the end of the academic year in 2022, so that would be around May or June. And then really after that, they don't seem to have found any evidence that he was alive, certainly in that region of Ireland. So really that's where the inquiry is at the moment.
As you say, he was last known to be alive mid-2022. At that time, he and his mother were reported missing, but then fast forward to August of this year. Do we know what happened that has sort of sparked this investigation over concerns of Kyran's well-being?
Yeah, so if we look back at that period in 2022, May, June 2022, we know that he was in primary school in the Dundalk area at that time. Now, it appears that the primary school believed that the family may be relocating north of the border. So when Kyran didn't come back for school in the new academic year, it doesn't seem to have raised any flags the way that normally would, because the family had floated the idea that they were going to relocate across the border. So really, even though he wasn't seen again by anybody in the school after the end of the 2022 academic year, there was really then no Garda inquiry into him, and there was no investigation, it appears, at all as to his welfare or his whereabouts until August just gone. And what happened at that stage was TUSLA, the Child and Family Agency, had been dealing with the family. Now, it's important to say that Kyran wasn't in care or anything like that, but the family were in touch with TUSLA and they were dealing with the family. And as part of those ongoing contacts, TUSLA made contact with the family on the 29th of August, just gone. And TUSLA was inquiring as to Kyran's welfare and whereabouts. And somebody in the family told TUSLA that Kyran and his mum had left the family home in Dundalk just hours earlier on the 29th of August, and that they were unaccounted for. So TUSLA then went to the Gardaí and flagged its concerns for Kyran's welfare on the same day, 29th of August. And the following day then, a family member went to the Gardaí and essentially reported that Kyran and his mum were actually missing. So the Garda inquiry really only got underway then, and that was the first time that the flag was raised that there may be an issue around Kyran's welfare. So really, in near 2.5 years, certainly 2 years and 3 months or so passed in between Kyran last being seen in primary school and TUSLA flagging its concerns with An Garda Síochána as to his welfare, and then an inquiry getting underway by the guards. So you've got that lost 2.5 year period, and that's the problem. The Gardaí are now trying to backtrack and trace exactly when Kyran was last seen alive, who was he with, where was he, and they really haven't been able to find any evidence of that so far.
And do you get the impression that the searches at the moment are located in that area because it's logical, or that it might be intelligence-led?
No, I think it's probably logical. I mean, as I say, this was the Duran family home up until May of this year, and also Kyran is believed to have lived there for a period of time. So it certainly appears to me that these searches are being carried out, as you say, just because it's an obvious place to start. It's an obvious, property to go into and do a really proper search there. Excavate the garden, search the grass area out the back, excavate parts of that. So it seems to be an obvious area. The Gardaí, from what I can glean from Garda sources, now look, this all may change very quickly, but certainly from what I can glean from Garda sources, they don't know how this boy was killed, where he was killed, or when. And even though it is a murder...
Can I also say he may also have passed away for some other reason, and it's being concealed rather than someone and I'm not saying that to defend anyone, by the way. I don't know the ins and outs.
No, absolutely, that is the case.
It is also possible that he died and his death was concealed, as well as he also could have been murdered.
Yeah, so the guards are carrying out a murder inquiry, but in murder inquiries, in some of these murder cases, the investigation team comes to the conclusion that the person wasn't actually murdered, that they died in some other way, maybe accidentally, maybe some kind of injury sustained in an incident that wasn't intended to kill a person, or so on. So, that avenue can't be completely ruled out, and it can't be completely ruled out in this case precisely because they just don't know what happened. They assume that he is dead. There's a murder inquiry underway, but the manner in which he died, whether he was killed or whether it was, some other way, really they haven't confirmed that yet. The Gardaí haven't confirmed that yet.
You would imagine that there are people that were located in this house at this time, Conor, that may have information. Do we know, because I haven't seen this really referenced, are they cooperating with Gardaí? Are the Gardaí in contact with them? I don't know who exactly was living in the home, but certainly the mother was living in the home. But do we know if they are, as I say, still, are they offering any information or assistance to An Garda Síochána?
Well, they have been spoken to by the guards. Some of the people are around Chiron. They have been spoken to by An Garda Síochána, both in Ireland and in England. Some of them are actually in the UK now, and Gardaí have actually travelled there to speak to them. Others are still in the Drogheda, Dundalk area. They have been spoken to as well. But really, despite having had those conversations with those people, Gardaí are still not able to establish, even when Chiron was last, the last confirmed sighting of him, when he was last alive, even approximately what time of the year he was alive. So even though those conversations have taken place, information that the Gardaí would, in other cases would find very easy to obtain really hasn't been obtainable here.
And just very finally, Conor, and I know this is probably one of those situations that even reliable sources are keeping tight, but is it still the contention by Chiron's mother or those around him that he fled and is missing somewhere?
Well, we don't, to be honest with you, we don't really know that. The missing persons inquiry was stood down last week. Obviously, the alert went out when the missing persons report was received in late August. Within a few days, Gardaí sent out their first alert, appealing for anybody who had information on the whereabouts of Chiron or his mum to come forward. And a major criminal investigation was put in place very, very quickly. The missing persons report was stood down last week because Chiron's mom was tracked down in the UK, and essentially because the Gardaí could find no evidence that Chiron was alive around at the end of August, when it was claimed he was alive and he had left the area. All of that. The answers to the questions you ask are still not known by the guards. I mean, that's the short answer.
Yep. No, Conor, I appreciate that. Conor Lally, Irish Times security and crime editor, and you can read Conor's coverage and continued coverage in that newspaper. Thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.
Bye-bye. That's Conor Lally there. And just me speaking personally, separate to that conversation, if it's not in place, the one thing that needs to happen right away, as far as I'm concerned, is that if a child moves from a school, for whatever reason, it could be, I could decide that I want to live in Cork or something, but if a child is no longer in school, there should definitely be something in place where there are 2 welfare checks, 3 months after the child was last at school, and maybe 18 months or a year afterwards, something along those lines. If that's not in place, it should definitely be in place. If a child doesn't turn up for school, even if the parents say, right, we're moving somewhere else, there should definitely be welfare checks on that child, 6 months later or a year later or something, to avoid something like this happening. If that's not in place, it certainly should. That's certainly one thing I would draw from everything that's we're learning.
The 9 till noon show with Sony Centre Letterkenny. Check out their great range of TVs, headphones, speakers and cameras. Best deals guaranteed. Shop now at sonycentre.ie. Free delivery over €100.
Radical fertilizer restrictions proposed. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we reveal a surprise recommendation that could ban urea sales. Beef factory buyers fighting for cattle ahead of Christmas trade. New multi-million euro nature schemes open for farmers. We investigate how other EU countries control land prices and buyers. With an election looming, we analyse the key farming issues for politicians knocking on your door. And in your new look Irish country living, we speak exclusively to Mary McAleese and Mary Kennedy. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
Donegal County Council is inviting the public to hear more about the plans for the reuse of the old courthouse in Letterkenny as an exciting tourist attraction. Come along to a drop-in information event in the old courthouse building on Justice Walsh Road on Thursday 24th of October, anytime between 3pm and 8pm. For more information, visit donegalcoco.ie.
Looking for your number one stop shop that's got it all? Then make John McNulty's convenience store and top oil service station in Stranraer, Donegal your number one destination. Whether you're topping up on petrol or diesel, stocking up on solid fuel or grabbing a delicious bite from their hot deli, John McNulty's has everything you need. Convenience, quality and service, all in one place. Because at John McNulty's, they put you first. Visit John McNulty's today, your number one choice.
We all love to get the most out of things, like a sunny day, while it lasts. In Ireland, it can be hard to get enough vitamin D from the sun. But did you know that 90% of us also don't get enough vitamin D from the food we eat? The great news is, Avonmore Supermilk is fortified with vitamin D, helping us to absorb calcium for healthy bones and supporting the immune system too. Avonmore Supermilk, the most super our milk can be. Figures based on FSAI 2023 vitamin D study.
Don't miss Academy Award winner Cillian Murphy in what critics are calling his finest performance yet.
She asked me to get her out.
And what did you say?
That it wasn't up to me.
Based on the best-selling novel by Claire Keegan.
Do you ever get worried?
People can make things difficult for you.
Cillian Murphy's performance could move mountains, says The Telegraph.
What if it was one of ours?
They're not our girls. An extraordinary performance, says The Times.
Don't you ever question it?
5 stars, says the Irish Independent. Small things like these in cinemas November 1st.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. If you haven't started using the McElhinney's Layaway Club, it's not too late. Spread the cost of Christmas with designer gifts for the whole family. Available by phone or in store at McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
Okay, so let's have a look at that weather forecast for today. And I can tell you that mainly dry with a few sunny spells this morning, but becoming cloudier in the afternoon with rain spreading from the west this evening. Temperatures 14 to 16 degrees. Now, we were contacted by a parent that, let me see where the comment is. All right, we actually got a couple of communications from parents who were annoyed that their young children were coming home from childcare with nails painted. In the case of our listener, the dad apparently was very annoyed. The young boy came home another day wearing girls' clips in his hair, and this parent says, I feel strongly that the play school should not be the place for this, and it should not happen until agreed by us parents. And I noticed too on Letterkenny Babies, there was another comment. I just wondered, does anyone know why play schools are painting boys' nails and encouraging them to be feminine? My child came home last Tuesday with nails painted and wearing a handmade girly bracelet and said the teacher said it's for boys and girls, not just boys. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but my husband's furious about it. He thinks children should be taught at an early age that there is a difference in male and female and they are not the same, and on it goes. Teresa Gallen is manager of TT Childcare, which is not the childcare centre that we're talking about, and joins us on the programme now. Hi, Teresa.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm okay. Right. So, as I say, this is sort of blown up. We've had a number of contacts and it's appeared elsewhere. Is this sort of the tact of one particular childcare facility, or is this quite normal?
Greg, this is totally normal. So it is. This happens every day in play. At the end of the day, these children are playing. Children learn through real life experiences. So I am sure that wee boy has a mammy, sisters, granny, auntie that goes maybe and gets their nails painted or goes and gets their hair done. And it's not a gender activity to that wee boy. All he's doing is doing what mammy does, and he's just seeing getting his nails painted. It's colour and it's fun and it's learning. And also we have like a curriculum, or Astra curriculum, and there's a big part of that about identity and belonging. And that's all about letting the child have their own interests and see who they are. It's not, this is like telling a wee girl, oh, you can't go and play with the cars or the tractors because you're a girl. That wee boy might end up being a hairstylist. You know what I mean? It's just, I think it's the adults are seeing it as a gender thing, where children are just playing. They're just having fun and exploring. That's all they're doing.
It's a very formative time. Like I don't see your analogy there, because this is not the young boys playing with dolls or playing with the kitchen set or stuff that probably wrongly is attributed to sort of female gender. Some would see this as the feminization of the children, putting girls' hair clips in, painting their nails. That's not really challenging gender roles, is it? That's actually sort of a physical feminization. Some would see it.
They might see it, but what we are trying to say is that's what they see happening in their everyday life. They don't see it as a girl thing or a boy thing. They just see that this is what happens. They just see people go and get their hair done. They don't see it as a feminization. It's just they're just playing. They're just exploring their world. I mean, like I know what you're trying to say, but I think that's, as the adults, we're viewing it that way, but you have to look at it as the children. They're just experiencing everyday experiences, what they see happening in everyday life.
Is it possible, though, Teresa, and listen, say, for instance, and we're not getting into the wider conversation, but often if you hear of someone's trans story, for an example, right, they will talk about, I knew from 2 or 3 or 4 that I was a girl. I used to do my nails. I used to do my hair, right? We have to make sure, though, that we're not confusing the very young mind, don't we? Because we also have to give them some credit to understand that mommy is a woman and girl, and mommy wears clips in her hair and paints her nails, and daddy, in most cases, doesn't. Are we sure we're not sort of, maybe we do need to give them a little bit of guidance in that regard?
But we're chatting about 2, 3, 4-year-olds, Greg.
Yeah.
No, we're not chatting as they go on. And if a child does know that, why would you be excluding them if that's what they want to do? I mean, like, I'm sure we're all parents listening here, and would they not be more annoyed if they come up and said, oh, like, there was a spa day happening in the creche and their child couldn't get to do it. They were excluded because you were a boy and mommy or daddy didn't want that. Do you know what I mean?
And this is part of the guidelines, the teaching, is it, to let them explore?
Yes. Explore, the Asher curriculum framework, that's a big part of it. Regulation 19 of our regulations, identity, health, well-being of the child, that you can't exclude a child. And, like, no child is being forced. We have to remember that. It's not like you're taking them on saying, you are getting your nails painted today. The child showing an interest. That's all. No, it's happening throughout the day. And if the child wants to get it done, they'll get it done. But they're not being forced to do it. They're showing interest. They're leading the play here.
Right, but you don't see it as influence then. So say, for instance, there was someone working in this environment that was a trans male, a trans female, for an example. Would you not be concerned that they'd be potentially influenced by that, if that makes sense?
I don't think so. I mean, like, no, I can't see. They're going to see this all over the world. So why is it they're being influenced by maybe one person in a setting? And we have to promote that it's okay for people to be trans at the end of the day. So if children are getting to see that that's okay from the age of 2 and 3, we're going to help promote better relationships as the world moves forward. We're only exposing them. We're not sitting down teaching them. We're only introducing them to things. Okay.
I think parents, though, probably would want to know this, though, Teresa, because not everyone would think necessarily that this should be encouraged in this environment.
I understand that. No, and I can just go from...
You say it's okay to be trans. I mean, of course it is, right? But I mean, if you look... It's a wider conversation I don't want to get into now, right? But there's a very small percentage of people that would identify us as trans or become trans.
Yes.
That being said, if you present it as it's perfectly okay, and here you are at 2 or 3 or 4, potentially beginning your journey with with nail painting and hair clips, and you present this as an option, that could confuse already confused children.
Yeah, but we're not presenting it. We're not deciding. The adult is not coming in and doing plans of, like, we are going to today take out nail polish. This is coming from children's interests. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's not us deciding this. We're following the children.
In this environment where we want girls to go into STEM projects, right, and become scientists, and we want fellas maybe to pursue... why are we bringing in sort of gender-specific things like nail polish to begin with, then? Why not leave it sort of
because
as a...
there's children maybe because there's children exploring that, and they're living through their real life experiences, and that's what they want to be doing. At the same time, so that's like us saying, well, why are we bringing in STEM? You have to bring in everything in a child's world and let them experience them experiences. Not all children get the opportunity to experience these things, and it's only an experience. They're only playing, and I mean, like, I just find it unreal that there's such hardships in this world at the minute, with children in poverty, with children in homelessness, and we're sitting talking about a wee boy getting his nails painted at the end of the day.
Yeah, but we also have to consider it's a very, very tough time for teenagers. There's more teenagers identifying now as gender other than male and female. There's a lot of mental health issues. We also have to make sure, because I think it's actually really important, we also have to make sure that we are doing the right thing for our children. And that's not to say trans is bad. I'm not saying that for a second. But I think it's actually really quite important to make sure we're getting it right, because we as adults have the ultimate responsibility. But I understand precisely where you're coming from, Teresa, and I do appreciate...
I would say, Greg, with us, if we were doing something like a spa day, the parents are always informed, so they are, we always say, oh no, we're having a wee spa day, so the parents will know that it's happening. But at the end of the day, if a child comes up and says they want to get their nails painted or their hair done or whatever, we're not going to exclude them, so we're not. No, them days are gone. And you're hoping it's not going to influence.
So if a young lad watches the girls getting their hair done with clips and nail polish, and they come and say, "Can I get that done?" That's okay.
That's okay, but you're not going to force them to do it.
Of course
obviously,
you
you know what I mean? But if they want to get it done, they can get it done. And I just would like, that parent, how would they feel if their child was excluded or their child was upset because he says, I don't want that done? What would you rather have your child there broken-hearted because they couldn't get to do what they wanted to do just to keep the adults happier? You just have to look at it from that. But I appreciate where everybody's coming from.
Listen,
but from our stance, it's all about inclusiveness.
Okay, right. And if they say there was one of the girls' jackets there that was clearly a female's jacket, and the young fella says, "Oh, can I put that jacket on as well?" That would be okay also.
That's okay, and vice versa. If it was a blue Subaru jacket, we'll take for example, and a wee girl wanted to wear it, that's okay. But nobody would question that.
Okay, Teresa, listen.
That would be okay.
I get exactly where you're coming from. Teresa, thanks so much for your time. I do appreciate it. Teresa Gallen there, manager of TT Childcare. Any views on that? 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. We're going to the news now, which I'm apologising for in advance, is going to be 2 minutes late.
The 9 till noon show, sponsored by Sony Centre, Letterkenny. Discover the best in tech, TVs, soundbars, noise-cancelling headphones, mirrorless cameras and more. Best deals guaranteed. Shop in-store or at sonycentre.ie.
Milford Tiles, Milford Retail Park. Tiles, bathware and wood flooring. The best quality and value in the Northwest. Fully stocked and ready to go. Fitters and delivery available. 10% off for Mica affected customers. Don't forget to ask about our 5-day bathroom fit out. Call Milford Tiles on 083 091 0707.
Give your windows a fresh new look from Foy's in Letterkenny, who have an incredible range of luxurious fabrics and custom-made curtains from top brands like Harlequin, Sanderson, Clark & Clark and more. Foy's also have you covered for blinds, from sleek modern designs to timeless classics, and our massive selection of curtain poles and accessories means you'll find the perfect finishing touch. Residential or commercial, Foy's will bring your vision to life. Visit Foy's in Letterkenny today and see why we're the Northwest's go-to for curtains and blinds.
999, how can we direct your call? Can you help me? I'm on my own here. I just want them to stop. Okay, can you tell me what's happening there? There's kids outside my house throwing fireworks and they're hitting the house and they won't stop. Are they outside the house now? Yes, please hurry. I'm so scared.
Fireworks are dangerous and illegal. Don't buy them, don't sell them, and don't use them. A message brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Friday 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
join us this Thursday at 1 p.m. for another episode of Lunchtime Lives, coming to you live on Facebook from Deirdre's at the Diamond in Carndonagh. We'll be covering all things fashion, from the latest seasonal trends to the must-have wardrobe essentials. We've got expert tips and exclusive looks from Deirdre's collection. That's this Thursday live on Facebook from Deirdre's at the Diamond, Carndonagh.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, just gone 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The 100% Redress Party is urging Donegal County Council to amend its existing civil defence plan to provide rest centres for defective block homeowners during severe weather events. Councillor Joy Beard has again warned that homeowners living in unsafe properties or in caravans while remediation works are being carried out on their homes need to be provided with a place of refuge in the wake of status red weather warnings. Over the weekend, the party issued an urgent plea to government to immediately adopt an emergency storm protocol for affected homeowners during the orange weather warning on Saturday. Well, Councillor Joy Beard says a plan needs to be urgently put in place.
The plan isn't due to be reviewed until 2026. And that's too late for a lot of these families. And these houses, as I say, are really deteriorating rapidly, and our winters are getting worse. So there has to be a plan in place that if there is a severe weather warning, that we need to have somewhere for these families to go. We need to remember a red weather warning does mean in danger to life.
The bus air en route from Donegal town to Dublin has been raised once again in the Dáil, this time by Cavan TD Deputy Pauline Tully, who says when the bus stops in Cavan, it's usually chronically late. She's asked the Transport Minister Eamon Ryan what measures are being put in place to have this rectified. Deputy Tully says a couple who rely on the service in her constituency for the airport are inevitably always late.
For example, one couple contacted me and they divide their time between Britain and Ireland. So they use the bus service to the airport approximately once a month for a period of over the last 3 years, and they said not once has the bus come on time. It is consistently late, and it's anything from 30 minutes to an hour. We're not talking about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Nobody would mind that. We know that buses can get held up.
The PSNI is to re-engage with previous high-risk victims of gender-based violence in the north. 6 women and a girl have been murdered so far this year, including 2 women killed just days apart in separate incidents in County Derry. With more, here's Tara Griffiths.
Police say over the coming weeks they'll be proactively making contact with previous reporting high-risk victims. They're encouraging women and girls to continue to pick up the phone and report any incidents or crimes. And they're also reminding people about their right to ask whether their current partner has any prior convictions for violence or domestic abuse, as per the Domestic Violence and Abuse Disclosure Scheme.
Ballyshannon Gardaí made an arrest yesterday morning for suspected drug driving during a routine mandatory intoxicant testing checkpoint. They stopped a driver who tested positive for cannabis. The motorist was subsequently arrested and a blood sample taken for analysis. A yellow box is to be installed on the incoming lanes on the N56 4-lane road for outgoing traffic entering the Cullion Road. The issue was raised recently by Councillor Donald Coyle, who was told the work will be done in the coming months. It's been delayed, he was told, because of works being done as part of the contractor's maintenance period. And anti-wind county development plans are undermining the country's climate action targets. That's the claim of Wind Energy Ireland, who say planning remains the single biggest barrier to ending Ireland's dependency on imported fossil fuels. CEO Noel Cuniff says the newly passed planning bill will help, but he's worried that just one new wind farm was approved by An Bord Pleanála between July and September.
That means that they approved only 13% of the capacity that we needed to get through in that timeframe to be able to hit our 2030 targets. And the combination of a lack of resources in An Bord Pleanála, working on renewable energy projects combined with anti-wind energy county development plans means that Ireland is going to be dependent on imported fossil fuels for longer.
Weather forecast mainly dry this morning with a few sunny spells, becoming cloudier in the afternoon with rain spreading from the west this evening. Highs of 14 to 16 degrees Celsius in moderate to fresh southerly winds, easing for a time this evening. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Check all of today's news on the website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notices this Thursday morning, October 24th.
The death has occurred of Susanna Fahy ní Dorian Biller Fanad. Removal from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest today at 3 p.m, going to relate residents. Funeral arrangements are to follow. The death has occurred of Clement Gallagher Mina Khan Inver, reposing at his home today and tomorrow from 11 o'clock until 9 o'clock, with rosary both nights at 9 p.m. Removal on Saturday morning for 12 noon Requiem Mass in the Church of the Blessed Virgin Mary Frosses, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. House private on the morning of the funeral. Clement's funeral mass can be viewed on mcn.live. The death has occurred of Bobby Bridie Doherty, 1 Ballymacool Terrace, Letterkenny. Remains are reposing at Letterkenny Funeral Home, Port Road, Letterkenny, from 2 p.m. until 9 p.m. today. Rosaries at 9 o'clock. Leaving Letterkenny Funeral Home tomorrow at 10:30 for 11 a.m. Mass in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, with burial afterwards in the family plot in Conwall Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of Patrick Doherty or Con McDade Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Jim Crilly, Gorton Amok Castle Finn, reposing at the family home. Funeral from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 for service of thanksgiving for the life of Jim at 2 p.m. in Old Presbyterian Church. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Cardiovascular Unit, Galway University Hospital, care of any family member or Charles Lynch Funeral Director. Reposing at his home from 12 noon until 10 p.m, with family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of James Crawford, Alt Lower Castle Finn, reposing at the family home today from 12 noon. Funeral from the family home on Saturday morning at 11:20 for Requiem Mass at 12 noon in St Columba's Church, Donnylip. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Tilly Spratt, Nee Sweeney, Gary Harry Letterkenny. Tilly's remains are reposing at her late residence, which is private to family and neighbours only, please. Funeral leaving Tilly's late residence tomorrow at 1:15, going to Comwell Parish Church, Letterkenny, for service of thanksgiving at 2 p.m. Interment afterwards in Gortley Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of Susan McDermott, 91 St Finian's Park, Moville. Susan's remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow at 10:30 for 11 a.m. funeral mass in St Pius X Church, Moville, followed by interment in Bauchan's graveyard. Funeral mass can be viewed on movilleparish.com. Family time from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to Carndonagh Community Hospital, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin Funeral Director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Welcome to foodie season, with Aldi offers like fresh red Gala apples was $1.59, now 99¢, for the crumbliest apple crumble ever. Apple crumble, tummy rumble. Oh, and what are you doing to me? Delicious microwavable baby potatoes, now only 69¢. Dessert before the spuds? I'm into it. Make every day delicious with unmissable Super 6 offers on fruit and veg. Go all Aldi.
All right, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. A busy hour, and lots of you very motivated to text in. We do appreciate that. There's one thing I wanted to mention, though, before I get to those comments, because our series of Lunchtime Lives on Facebook continue today. We are coming to you live on our Facebook page. That's Highland Hub. From Deirdre's at the Diamond in Carndonagh, we'll be covering all things fashion, from the latest seasonal trends to must-have wardrobe essentials. We've got experts' tips and exclusive looks from Deirdre's collection, and we want you to get involved as always. So feel free to watch it live and send your questions during the Facebook Live, and you'll get your answers there. And then, so don't miss it, join us at 1 p.m. on Facebook. That's Highland Hub, Highland Radio's Lunchtime Lives from Deirdre's at the Diamond. Okay, so we were speaking to a childcare provider a little earlier on. It's off the back of a comment from a parent whose child came back from childcare, and the child was wearing nail polish and another was wearing hair clips, and I think it was the mom that contacted us, but it was the dad that was upset about it. And they say, I strongly feel that play school should not be the place for this and should not happen until agreed by us parents. Now, I just want to preface this, that any adults that want to do whatever they want, it's important that people are supported and are happy and content and are accepted in society. The one thing, and I think this discussion is important, and I think our SPHE discussions are important as well, is to make sure we know what's going on and that we believe it to be the right thing. So one scenario might be, say for an example, because it comes up in this program from quite a lot, I would have done quite a bit of research in the area of transgenderism between the Enoch Burke trial and conversations about puberty blockers and gender affirming stuff. It's something I would be across quite a lot of, which means also reading testimony from people who are transgender and sort of to learn about their life and their life story, because how can you chair a conversation unless you have some understanding from all different directions? And the one thing that comes out quite a lot, and it's the argument that's made as to why someone is trans and was born trans, and it's often male to female, is that I knew from a very early age, from 2, 3 or 4, I like to dress up in I like to use my mother's makeup. I like to dress up in women's clothes. So that's often used as, that's often stated as confirmation that this was a person's born gender. Also, another thing, and as I say, this is just a question I have, and I'm not saying I'm anti this or otherwise. I'm just proposing this, and I would love to have a conversation and to learn and get educated. As you would know, and I'll focus on the lad side of things, as you get to a certain age, 12, 13, 14, a lot of changes happen in your body, and there's boosts of estrogen and there's boosts of testosterone, and lumps can appear in certain places, if you get where I'm coming from, that are normally there in girls, and it can be quite a confusing time for young people. So are we sure that maybe if a young fella's in that stage, and maybe I'm doing trans people a disjustice here because maybe that's not when they start feeling the way they feel, if they can lean back and then say, well, when I was 2 or 3 or 4, I used to wear lipstick, keep saying lipstick. I used to wear nail polish. I used to do my hair. I enjoyed that. So maybe that's who I am. And then they start making decisions. Then they go and see a psychologist. Then next thing you know, we're talking puberty blockers, gender affirming name changes and stuff like that. As I say, that might not be typical of a trans person's journey. I understand that. And I'm very keen to hear all different points of view. But I also want to make sure that we look at things like that and ensure that when we think we're being helpful to kids and letting them grow and explore and be educational, that we aren't in any way doing them any damage. And I speak as a father on that, okay, because I don't know the answers. But we trust almost blindly sometimes. We trust other people to have those answers and to make those decisions for us. But anyway, let's read some of your comments coming in. And there is a mix. I'm not sure if people who oppose this are more motivated to text or not. It seems most people are opposed to it. I'd be talking to my child. Sorry, Caller says I'd be taking my child out of any creche that did this. Seems to be. I don't know what individual creche managers, what latitude they have, but it seems to be the curriculum that this is part of it. Another, I don't care what the woman believes, there's a limit to mixed child play. Promoting and indulging in mixed gender play, which involves cosmetic feminization of male infants, is a no-no. Aside from the stereotypes debate, I think cosmetics of any description should not be applied to children in a childcare setting or school without their parents' or guardians' prior consent. Another no childcare entity is the right to push the trans agenda on innocent kids, which is not what they're doing. And if we could, I would love if we could have this conversation maybe without going to the very extremes of the argument, because I don't believe there's any childcare provider pushing a trans agenda. I believe that this is the curriculum that they're following, and they genuinely believe it's the right thing to do. But they're your words, and I'll read on. No childcare entity has the right to push the trans agenda on innocent kids. There's a big difference in seeing mummy painting her nails, getting her hair done, and encouraging boys to do this, which they're not encouraging them either. It's downright dangerous to their mental well-being, regardless of regulations. Article 44 Constitution protects the parents as the primary teachers for the children, not some woman with an agenda, and it could be a fella for that matter. If Johnny says, I want to break that window, it seems to be okay nowadays. These children are being led up the wrong path. Children should be taught what boys should do and girls should do. Children should be taught as they have no sense. Children don't have enough sense to know what is feminine and masculine. Another, if this was happening to my child, they would be taken out of school. Another, oh my God, this world is so messed up. It's the teachers that's putting the ideas in the wee children's heads. It's not right. Now, again, just to be clear, and this is across the board, not one childcare facility, and it may not be across the board. It's if a young lad comes up and says, I want to do that too. They're not sitting the boys down and saying, right, we're going to paint your nails. Again, if we really important that we have this conversation in the reality and not the extreme. But again, I'm followed by your texts. And I've never heard anything like this in my 64 years about gender. When we were growing up, there was no crap like this. This has gone too far. How did we grow up when we were young? Stop, for God's sakes, trying to rule children's lives. Let children be children. Where has all this come from? The world has gone mad. And other teachers should get permission from parents first before they start painting wee boys' nails. And other wee boys are only young fellas. What harm are they doing? I had sisters and we used to play together and do everything. Children should be able to play and do what they want. Children should be allowed to explore, says another listener. And another listener says, imagine pulling something away from a child and they start crying. We live in a bad enough world without giving out about what children play with. Well, I mean, I would say that there is two solutions to this. One is continue as we are and it for it to be inclusive, or don't bring feminism or masculism into that environment. Let them play with dolls, with tractors, whatever they want. Being a woman is not playing with a cooking set. Being a man is not playing with a tractor. Feeling like a woman, feeling feel good about yourself is about putting makeup on, isn't it? It's about, for some women, or getting your nails done. So, I mean, I don't think the gender roles, i.e. we need more girls that are scientists, we need more girls that are engineers, and we need more fellas in healthcare, in caring roles. We need more fellas in different roles as well. What has that got to do with sort of nail polish and stuff? I don't know. I'm asking. I'm sure the wee boys' daddies, uncle, grandfather all go and get their nails painted. My wee girl loves tractors and has asked Santa for a tractor and trailer. We think nothing of it. Her dad is a farmer and she just loves the farm work. Parents overthink far too much these days. Again, I think it's great that young kids don't necessarily follow gender stereotypes in toys that they play with or careers that they pretend to be. It's great if a wee girl wants to be an astronaut, and it's no harm if a young fella wants to become a nurse. Is that the same as something that really doesn't define you in terms of what you can achieve in life? Putting your hair up and painting your fingernails. I know lots of women never paint their fingernails, for an example. My little boy wants to be a chef, and neither of us are a chef. He sees it on TV. I think it's great that kids are open to every walk of life today. Yeah, indeed. And most chefs are actually men. I think it's disgraceful that childcare facilities would encourage this type of ideology. I'm so thankful that my child is not in childcare. And here it comes. Highland Radio are a woke station. Didn't cover anything on hate crime law. All gender ideology is law now, Greg. Is a useless presenter. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We covered it extensively. If you want to come on and talk about it, that's fine. What they're actually referencing, because I do read this stuff, so I know what I'm talking about. The controversy in the hate speech that was passed yesterday, as it relates to gender, is the definition of gender. And by the way, it's politicians, the people that you vote for, that are voting for this, not me. And it outlines what the definition of gender is. So, Section 3.2d specifies that gender means the gender of a person. The gender of a person, this is in our Constitution, the gender a person expresses as the preferred gender, or the gender with which a person identifies. It includes transgenders and other genders other than male and female. And you can go into a list. How many genders are there? I think one politician said there were 9. So that's the controversy in that area. It's a protective characteristic if you want to identify as non-binary, for an example. Is that a gender? Anyway, so that's a protected characteristic. So that means you can't, in certain cases, you can't be hateful to someone. You can't be hateful to someone because they would identify as a gender other than male and female. So that's what the law provides for. But does that mean that you can't speak freely? It's been tested in Scotland, and we saw J.K. Rowling testing this in Scotland because they thought that in Scotland, as soon as similar laws were passed, that everyone would be locked up as soon as they expressed an opinion on gender or what have you. As it turns out, that doesn't happen because there's a constitutional protection. So you have the right to the freedom of expression. It's explicitly guaranteed under Article 40.6.1 of the Irish Constitution. And case law has established that this right includes the right to communicate facts, conversations, opinions and feelings. So your right to say, I don't believe there's any such thing as genders other than male and female, you are, and it's been defined in case law, you are legally protected to be able to say that if that is your view. If you say, I think we should go out and gather up and do bad things to everyone who's not male or female, you're not covered for that, right? You can express whatever, because the freedom of expression is not absolute. So people say, let's defend free speech. Article 40.6.1 already points out that freedom of expression is not absolute. So it allows for restrictions to the right to prevent the undermining of public order, morality, or the authority of the state. So you would have seen recently that someone was arrested for something they put on social media. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think they wrongly claimed that a person was interfering with children. That's not covered by the right to the freedom of expression. That goes beyond that because that undermines public order, morality, or the authority of the state. The enjoyment of the right may also be limited where its exercise amounts to an abuse of rights. So in this case, that person may well have been arrested because their freedom of expression encroached on the rights of the person who was falsely accused. So that means that the freedom of expression doesn't go quite as far as that you can say absolutely anything, but you are still able to have an opinion, be critical, and what have you, express on anything that you want, unless it goes beyond what I've outlined. I'm not saying I support that, by the way. I'm just saying that's what was voted in, because I think there's an awful lot of conversation about what it means and what it doesn't mean. That all gets tested in the courts eventually, right? But anyway, that's what was voted on last night, much of it, the controversial bit, in and around gender.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 24th of October, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €7,000 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S14. It's game number 43. The jackpot number is 54. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 76, 9, 81, 90, 62, 26, 52, 37, 58, and finally 32. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Due to phenomenal demand, the second date has been added for Mac Fleetwood in On Greenland Theatre Saturday the 9th of November. Here are all the classic Fleetwood Mac hits, including Little Lies, Dreams, Go Your Own Way and many more. Tickets on sale from ongreenland.com and the venue box office. Brought to you in association with Joe Gallagher Entertainment.
Testing. Do you need to get your hearing tested? Test your hearing with a free sample hearing aid from Hidden Hearing. Order your free sample hearing aid today. Call 1-800-370-000 or visit hiddenhearing.ie.
Skoda's 2 brand new models are going fast. This is Donal, driving off in his new HVO-powered Superb Combi. And the Breen family, getting their plug-in hybrid Kodiaq. And this is the sound of someone who didn't get their order in on time. Order your new Skoda today, before it's too late. Skoda.
Let's explore.
Skoda.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Check out Sister Sarah's, the ultimate gastropub in Letterkenny. Enjoy live sports daily on our multiple screens with surround sound, plus live music every weekend. Why not book your party at Sister Sarah's with a range of rooms and food options available? Let our family look after yours at Sister Sarah's. Serving food you'll love from Wednesday to Sunday.
The 9 till noon show with Sony Centre Letterkenny, Ireland's only Sony store, offering the best deals guaranteed. TVs, soundbars, headphones, cameras, party speakers and much more. Shop in-store or online at sonycentre.ie.
Okie doke, a random memory bin triggered here from a listener. Greg, listening to your talk to someone about a black hole. When I was young and growing up, when you were drunk on the street, mostly men, the guards took you into a room to sober up. It was known as the black hole. That comes in from Maria. Do any of you have any memories of that? Or maybe you don't have the memory of it. I want to highlight why a taxi charged €15 from Voodoo to Simpson shop at the hospital after 12 at night. I really think that's not normal, but happy the person got home safe. The girl had a Monaghan accent. I'm wondering if they charged extra due to her accent. These are students. The taxi driver knew that it was a student's night. Students should take a picture of the taxi number so that they don't get overcharged. Hi Greg, why is Donegal County Council doing works on Main Street in Buncrana on night shift? Yes, the works need done, but should not be priority. The main road leading into Buncrana from Cockhill is a disaster. Here's better roads leading into the bog. People's cars are destroyed. The road is that bad. This is what we pay tax for. I'd love to know who came up with this great idea, seeing that we are paying their wages. Staying on the roads, driving into Letterkenny every day, there are people who don't know how to use traffic lights. I'm at the ATU at the moment, and college students are stepping out in front of cars. If the light is red, you can't go. Indeed, and it's very important that we all adhere to the traffic lights, be us motorists or pedestrians. Ireland is finished if we let Helen McEntee dictate our freedom of speech. Is a text that came in, and I outlined the provisions in that act. And as I say, I'm not endorsing it or what have you, but that's as it is laid out in the Constitution for you to make your own mind up. A caller says you can identify as whatever you want, but in reality there are only two genders. Please ask a medical doctor to come on and talk about UTIs. That's urinary tract infections, is it? I presume it is. It is portrayed as a lady's problem. I'm on my seventh antibiotic due to UTIs, and I'm in my 70s. We need more information. We'll leave that with us. It's something, and that's exactly what we invite you to do, is give us suggestions, and we will follow up on that. Listening to you talk about that child coming home with nail polish on and hair clips. Honestly, I have two boys past preschool age, and if either of them arrived home from play school with nail polish, I would have been so annoyed. It is not their place to do things like that. That comes in from a Manor listener. And an interesting one, actually, that came in from another person, and it relates to this issue, and it's just a different angle on it. Replay schools, honestly, I wouldn't be happy if my little girl came back with nail polish on. I'm not happy with the beautification of children. A bit of fun at home, but not at play school, just my opinion. There's something else in relation to that I don't disagree with on that, to be honest with you. And you see it an awful lot in adverts. I'll reference that later if I remember. Deputy Rory O'Murhu of Sinn Féin joins us on the programme now. Deputy, good morning to you. Thanks for your time today.
Morning, Greg.
Right, okay. You have been talking about the issue of justice, I suppose, following the murder of Private Sean Rooney by Hezbollah in Lebanon. Sean, of course, very strong Donegal connections. What is your understanding of progress in relation to getting justice for Sean and his family and also, work colleagues?
Yeah, no, look, and in fairness, obviously, Sean would have very strong Dundalk connections, and the family would have huge connections with the Defence Forces. And look, it was obviously Sean's death is still felt, obviously, mostly by his family and his friends, but the wider community, and particularly, as you said, his colleagues in the Defence Forces. And look, we have had those promises, from government around the fact that they would leave no stone unturned in relation to truth and justice. I will also accept circumstances have changed in Lebanon. Look, we've seen a huge escalation, obviously, down to what the Israelis are doing. It's almost a deflection or as I say, a wider escalation of the genocide that's been carried out in Gaza, and obviously none of this is helpful. I, like many, have been contacted, obviously, by those who have family out serving at the minute, and that's another issue we're dealing with. And it's also incredibly poignant.
We might actually talk separately about that because Donegal, because we have our battalion here based in Finner Camp as part of the rotation is due to head out there shortly. So I'd be interested in that broader conversation. But just as it relates to Private Sean Rooney, is there a concern? I'm sure you have a concern, but are you getting a sense from government that justice may never be achieved for Private Sean Rooney's murder?
There's a huge concern, and the point I was getting it was just it's a lot more poignant, you know what I mean? Because Sean Rooney just showed us the risk that members of the Defence Forces are taking on a day-by-day basis out there and doing, obviously, that work in peacekeeping that we absolutely support. Well, look here, I got a parliamentary question back, and I may as well just use the words that Micheál Martin wrote to me, very disappointed to learn at the most recent hearing on the 7th of June that none of those indicted for the killing of Private Sean Rooney appeared in court at the hearing, and that it was adjourned until the 12th of February 2025. I have continually stressed my unhappiness with progress of the trial to date, and I have made that very clear on a number of occasions directly to both Lebanese authorities and to the UN. And I continue to maintain close contact with both on this matter. We obviously need to make sure that happens, and it happens in, to the highest degree possible, because not only was the sacrifice made, on behalf of those living in Lebanon, obviously on behalf of the Defence Forces and the wider UNIFIL operation. It's actually the UN has a certain element of responsibility here also. We also have the issue that you've seen in the public domain in the last while around the coroner not being happy with the information from the UN, and I don't think that that's acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And one of my colleagues got a parliamentary question back in relation to this. And look, this issue is that serious. Like I brought it up yesterday, with the Taoiseach, because I think it's something that has to be maintained on the agenda. With all the powers the government doesn't have, the government has to use absolutely every tool and to follow through on what it made a promise, obviously to the family, but, to the wider community in relation to the fact it would leave no stone unturned.
Given that
is the case. I would be very worried myself. See, in relation to what you've seen, that you've seen people not showing up at court, that you've seen people released, and sometimes the Irish government only being told afterwards about it. None of it is in any way acceptable.
Of course, listen, given the fact that Hezbollah were responsible for this, and given the fact that Israel are incredibly active in Lebanon at the moment and targeting Hezbollah, and the fact that it's possible, I don't know, it's possible that maybe these defendants, these accused, had pagers on their person or had the walkie-talkies that exploded. I don't know. Is it not possible, or indeed probable, that perhaps these people will never be able to be brought to justice because they might be killed as part of this Israeli operation?
Well, look, in relation to any of that, that's information we don't have. I think the fact is the only information we have is that nobody actually appeared in court and that the date has been put back into February 2025. That's all we know. See if there's any information. Obviously the Irish government should do their absolute best in relation to finding that out. But at this point in time, we don't have, and all we have seen is what would you call it, a court system that does not seem to be progressing from a point of view of justice. And we need to make sure that we maintain whatever tools we have. And as I say, particularly with the UN, because the UN has a responsibility. Like Sean Rooney died on UN operations. And then beyond that, we need to make sure that information that the coroner is looking for, that the family are absolutely frustrated around, needs to be provided. So it needs to be incredibly strong words, incredibly strong interactions with the UN, because none of this is good enough. And also, as you said yourself, Sean's colleagues and comrades would obviously expect that the Irish government would do that. And beyond that, we need to make sure that all the information is provided, that and we know there are issues that are in the public domain, and we need to make sure that best protocols and best practice are going to be followed through. Particularly, we'd like to think that would be the case at the moment. And if there was anything to be learned from the tragedy that was the death of Sean Rooney, that would be being employed as best practice at this moment in time, in relation to what is an incredibly serious circumstance in South Lebanon. And look, you spoke about the fact of Israeli targeting, but the Israelis have targeted at this stage UNIFIL positions, and obviously utterly unacceptable. But it also just shows the absolute seriousness that our peacekeeping troops are under at this point in time, and we need to make sure that there are proper lines of communication to them, obviously to those in command, but also beyond that, we need to make sure that there's a free flow of information from
just
the
in relation to that, given
I can ask a question. If we don't have a free flow of information in relation to what a coroner is looking for as regards an inquest, well, I don't think that's good enough.
No problem. Okay,
right?
That's where we have to leave it. I want to thank you for your time this morning. Thank you very much indeed, and we'll follow that with great interest, as you can imagine. Okay, take care. That's Deputy Rory O'Murahu of Sinn Féin there, raising that very important issue in the Dáil. Back to some of your comments here now. I think it's wrong to paint boys' nails at that age and put clips in their hair. That lady said they're not being forced. These are 3- and 4-year-old children. Sure, they will agree to anything. Must be lots of other things you could do with 3- and 4-year-old boys rather than paint their nails and put clips in their hair. That's just my opinion. More coming in relation to that. It's not about a wee boy who had his nails painted, says a listener. It's wrong, full stop. What's next? He'll come home with makeup. Fits them better to teach the kids good manners, the ABCs or 1, 2, 3s, how to sit and listen to a story being read instead of this crap, as they describe it. Now, I know myself, all of that stuff does happen as well. This is another element of the teaching. But they go on to say, I think it's okay to allow play, but spa days? Go do what we done when we were at play school. Learn about nature, storybooks, painting pictures, playing with Play-Doh instead of stupid spa days. Another, why is it necessary to have nail polish at play school at all? That's the problem in the world today. Children are not being let be children. There are plenty of activities, games and toys to keep them amused and keep nail polish for mum, dad or family members to be done in the home setting. Another, if I heard Teresa had my son wearing a skirt or putting on nail varnish while his parents were not informed, I'd do everything in my power to make sure it didn't happen. Now, there was no reference to skirts, by the way. But I take your point. Any comments in relation to that? Keep them coming into us. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Just a quick request. Would you please wish my son a happy 18th birthday today? CJ Shields. Happy birthday, CJ. It's all ahead of you now. That comes in with lots of love from your mum.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Sony Centre Letterkenny. From party speakers to TVs, cameras and camcorders, find it all at Ireland's only Sony store. Free deliveries on orders over €100. Visit sonycentre.ie today.
We're celebrating 125 years of Opel. And with a milestone like that, what better time to explore Opel's extensive award-winning range? Plus, if you order your 251 Opel now, we'll gift you with a €500 Dunnes Stores gift card. Other than that, we've not much else to talk about. In fact, the percentage of time we're going to talk about finance offers, that would be 0%. Happy buy day to you. Find out more about our 251 offers at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details. T's and C's apply.
Discover the hidden gem of Letterkenny, La Papa Kitchen and Coffee House, where you can indulge with friends in delicious Buddha bowls, pastas, light bites and organic coffee. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Remember the name, La Papa, located next to KO Fitness and McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Road. Open 7 days a week.
On Business Matters this week, my guest is Dublin-based Donegal woman Elaine Noonan, the founder and chief executive of Community Connect, Ireland's first nationwide baby bank charity. So join me, Chris Ashmore, on Business Matters after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Mary here from the cosmetic department at McGee's Chemist to let you know that Loncome have a great beauty gift available here this week. Buy 2 Loncome products, 1 to be skincare, and you will get a free 7-piece gift containing a 50ml cleansing milk, a choice of Absolute or Hydrocyn travel size creams, and more iconic Loncome products while stocks last. For any skincare advice, you can always talk to Gemma or myself here at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Go full Lidl and go full Irish breakfast this bank holiday weekend. Fry up our deluxe breakfast bundle with Board B approved deluxe back bacon, Board B approved deluxe hand-tied pork sausages, and either our deluxe white or black Irish pudding. All this for under €5. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
The ultimate tribute to Cher from the world-famous Las Vegas Legends show and BBC's I Can See Your Voice. Trisha McClunney brings Cher to life with her essentially Cher show at Angrinnan Theatre, Letterkenny, Friday 29th of November. Tickets on sale from angrinnan.com and Venue Box Office. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Okay, we're all looking forward to Halloween. Most of us are. All of us in different ways, and we all want our children to be involved with it. Some of us don't, but it can be more complicated for many, many, many others. Life's complex, isn't it? But we want to be as inclusive as we can be on this programme. And with that in mind, we've invited John Joe McGinley, founder of Autism Dad, onto the show. John Joe, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning to all your listeners, and thank you for having me on.
Yes, now this is about not being party poopers, but just understanding that many of us are different and to be as inclusive as possible. Halloween and autism, what does Halloween and autism really mean, I suppose? And it's different for different people, don't get me wrong. But you're the expert in this area.
Oh yeah, firstly I want to say I sort of reiterate what you've said. I'm not wanting to be a party pooper in any way. I've got 4 boys, 2 on the autism spectrum, and they all enjoy Halloween. But you need to take preparation to allow them to enjoy Halloween. Because let's face it, Halloween's a fantastic time. It's really expanded out. We've got all the costumes, we've got the bright lights, we've got the decorations, we've got the parties, we've got the discos. It's a far cry from my time in Scotland when all we did was duke for apples and have a few monkey nuts. But it's really expanded out. But for children on the autism spectrum, it can present a lot of challenges. You know, you've got challenges such as the sensory issues, the bright lights, the noise. You've got even the sensory aspects of the costumes. It's like simple little things like if you're putting a mask on, it encloses the face. You know, that can have an impact on themselves, but as they experience it on others, they can't really, some of them can't fathom why has that person changed? You know, you've also got the anxiety of the build up to the process. A lot of it is built by sometimes social pressure, even peer pressure, because as they see their schoolmates dressing up for Halloween, a lot of them, 1, do they understand it, and 2, it's not something that they really want to get involved in. Yeah. So you have to guide them through it.
So, I mean, most parents, guardians will understand that, and their property, they'll know what works for their children and what doesn't, and they can make those adaptations and what have you. So where does the sort of wider consideration come into it? You know, is it in terms of how we dress our houses, how we open the door? Is it if there are local events to maybe make some adaptations to make them more autism friendly? So sort of outside of your own family home, and I'm trusting parents know what's what there, you know, what can society do to make events more inclusive?
Well, there's a couple of things. I think the most important thing that anybody could do, any event or any local group that's there, is when you're having a Halloween event, to think of the issues of those on the autism spectrum, those sensory issues, the anxiety. And the best thing they could have is a safe, quiet space where kids can go off when it just gets too much for them. You know, it doesn't mean that the event's ended for them or it's over. It's just a place where they can go. It can either with their parents, or if you've got a suitably qualified individual there who can supervise the children, where they can just have a quiet space when they can start to regulate themselves and get themselves ready to go and start playing again with their friends. It doesn't mean the evening's over for them or the event's over for them, but that little time out allows them to just have that safe and inclusive environment that allows them to regulate themselves.
Yeah,
and
I
get
think
themselves
that's
back on
really
even keel.
important, because that covers all, not all, it covers most, doesn't it? Because of course, a lot of it's quite affordable now for, you know, these noisy, scary witches and what have you. And mostly they have flashing eyes and all that type of stuff. And for some children, they can cope and manage with that for a period of time or what have you. So it's not about necessarily removing that stuff. As you say, it's about maybe allowing the experience to continue, but in a different, for a different, calmer environment without the sort of sensory overloads or stuff that might trigger anxiety.
It's that key word, Greg, there, the sensory overload. And a lot of children, when they get that sensory overload, it just overwhelms them. But even 5, 10, even 15 minutes in that safe, quiet environment, they get that self-regulation and they're ready to go again. Because you want children to experience Halloween with their friends and to experience all the fun that's there. And it doesn't take much, just to, if you're planning an event, be it in a community hall or anywhere else, just to make sure, let's have a think about the needs of the children on the autism spectrum and have that safe, quiet environment where parents or even children can just go away for a few minutes just to self-regulate themselves and get themselves ready to enjoy the night with their friends.
I read somewhere about an initiative whereby, you know, trick-or-treating is still a big thing, that trick-or-treaters with autism might wear blue or carry blue buckets or something. I'm not sure if that was... I didn't read deeply into the article. Is that a thing?
That is a thing.
It is a thing. Okay, talk to us about that.
Two things you can do. One, if you're expecting trick-or-treaters, you can actually have the blue pumpkin there to warn people and just to tell people, hey, this is an autism-friendly house, which is great for the people who are coming. And also, you've got to take into account a lot... Trick-or-treating, right? If you look at children on the autism spectrum, a lot of them suffer from social anxiety and they have difficulty with social interaction. Let's face it, trick-or-treating is one of the ultimate social interactions. You're knocking sometimes on strangers' doors asking for trick or treat. So again, it can be overwhelming for children. One of the key ways to get around that is to obviously use social stories to prepare for them. But again, having that little wee blue badge you can get off the internet, the blue pumpkin there, that can then warn people and say, listen, this child is on the autism spectrum, just handle with care, really.
We often
be as sensitive as you possibly can.
Quite rightly, John Joe, our conversations often about, you know, the young people or the older people, you know. How important, as a parent, how important is it that your child can engage as much as possible with all other children, and to sort of, you know, and that could all children, be it with a disability or autism or whatever it might be. I'm just curious, from a parent's perspective, how important is it that, you know, your child can be seen to be enjoying as much as possible everything else that other children can enjoy?
Well, that is the key point as a parent. You want your child to have friends, to participate in as many events as possible. And part of that is planning and working with them to give them the emotional support to allow them to do that. Yes, children on the autism spectrum may suffer from social anxiety. Yes, they may have speech and language issues, but parents should never give up. It's all about making sure that our children can participate in the same events as neurotypical children can. And that's all about preparation and working with them, because you don't want your children to miss out. And again, a little tip I would give to some other parents, you know, one of the key things that all children enjoy, the last day of school, they're all dressing up in their Halloween outfits. You know, don't be distressed or disappointed if your child doesn't want to dress up. You can even do it in little stages. One of my little boys, right, he never used to want to dress up, and we had to take it in stages. The first thing was, would you like your face painted? Yeah, I'll go with that. And then the next time is, yeah, well, you've agreed to do your face painting. Why don't you put your favourite outfit on? and it might even be that it's just want the top on and not the trousers. You just have to build up, and they still participate. And they
But
still
that's useful too, though,
friends.
John Joe, isn't it? It's useful beyond just that experience of dressing up for Halloween, I presume, because you're tooling yourself up. You learn sort of how to communicate with the younger person, how to encourage them and bring them forward. Because that's not, I talked a little earlier on that mums and dads and guardians would know exactly what to do with their own children in their own house, but there is no rule book, I suppose, and everybody's learning. And there is a big, I think it's on your website, is there a topic on autism and Halloween that I think parents that might find useful to read through? Did that come from, I have it in here in front of me, John Joe, did that come from your website?
That awesomeDad.ie, yeah, that's
okay.
my
I mean,
website.
it's a great resource, because as I said, I kind of presumed everyone knows everything earlier on, but I'm still learning. 3 kids deep, how to raise a child. Now it's got to the stage where the kids bloody think they can teach us. Anyway, come here.
They're teaching us every day.
I'm gonna use your words. It's all about having a happy and spooky, stress-free Halloween.
It is indeed, and as I say, every child is different. So what I've tried to do is in the blog on the website awesomeDad.ie is put together some hints and tips that me and my wife Eileen I've learned over the years with 2 of our boys in autism spectrum. Some of them work. They might not work for other people, but hey, give them a try, and let's try and make sure that our kids enjoy Halloween as much as everybody else.
Exactly. And John Joe, we're a week out for Halloween. I just want to thank you for being a good sport and wearing your scary mask early. Thank you. Oh no, it's not. That's your...
Well, that's me, actually.
Thanks
very much, Greg.
I think I've talked to you enough to maybe slightly get away with that one. You're a very handsome man, and I'm only joking. So let's have fun. Let's be as inclusive as is possible. And sure, look at it's a great thing. And do you know what? The thing I've noticed, John Joe, little communities are recognising a lot of this stuff, and I see a lot of it. I see lots of events and autism-friendly spaces being mentioned. Isn't it great that, yes, you can keep campaigning, yes, we need to get the message across, but you see events in various little communities here and there and everywhere, and they're taking this into consideration, and I love that. Or special accommodations for children with a disability. I think we can never stop moving forward, John Joe, but I really find it so encouraging to see, the initiative being shown by many communities across our beautiful region.
And it's brilliant. People are good. And what they're doing is they are really taking on board the message. But that doesn't mean that the message will stop. We'll keep fighting for our children virtually to our last breath, because we have to. But I want to thank everybody that's putting together these fantastic inclusive events. It's
brilliant stuff. Okay, well, I could end up chatting to you before Halloween if I don't have a lovely time. Thank you so much, John Joe. Take care of yourself. Just remind us that website one more time. It's very simple.
AutismDad.ie.
Yeah, and there's a great article been written by John Joe there in relation to all of this. Take care, John Joe. Thank you so very much indeed. All right, I do have to take a quick break.
The 9 till noon show with Sony Centre Letterkenny. Check out their great range of TVs, headphones, speakers and cameras. Best deals guaranteed. Shop now at sonycentre.ie. Free delivery over €100.
Swing into Christmas with James Huish and his band singing all your favourite Christmas hits with Europe's #1 Michael Bublé tribute at Angrinnan Theatre, Letterkenny on Saturday 21st of December. Tickets on sale from angrinnan.com and Venue Box Office. Presented by Joe Gallagher Entertainments.
Atlantic Travel is ready to book your cruise. Book early to secure the best price and best available cabins, including those limited family suites. See and sail the Greek Isles, cultural cities of Italy and the Croatian coastline, or venture further afield to Asia and Japan, or an Alaskan adventure. Spread the cost with payment plans. Atlantic Travel Letterkenny, the cruise experts, having sailed extensively with all major cruise lines.
Get the family around for Aldi offers like, you guessed it, delicious cooking bag whole Irish chicken was $6.19, now $5.69 for the roast with the most. Oh, and here we go. Specially selected 32-day matured Irish Angus strip loin steaks was $9.99, now $8.99. However you like your steak, these are rare prices. Make every day delicious with unmissable Board Bia quality assured Super 6 meat offers. Go all Aldi.
Homeland's Power Tool clearance sale starts this Friday, 25th of October. Save up to 50% on Skill and Cat Power Tools. Cat 18-volt brushless impact driver, now €99. Save €100. Skill multi-tool, now $44.99. Save €45. All this and much more. Shop exclusively in-store at your local Homeland store. Letterkenny and Sligo stores only, while stocks last.
Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings. Affordable luxury.
And Greenan Theatre are delighted to welcome back Cosh Came Dance Theatre, one of the first companies to perform on stage when the theatre opened back in 1999. The piece, with drums, on Thursday 7th of November, is a driving dance narrative between dancer and percussion, with music, beats and everything in between. Fall in love with dance at Angrenon Theatre. Tickets now available at angrenon.com.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. If you haven't started using the McElhinney's Layaway Club, it's not too late. Spread the cost of Christmas with designer gifts for the whole family. Available by phone or in-store at McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
So it's going to become cloudy this afternoon with rain spreading from the west this evening. Temperatures 14 to 16 degrees. Claire, sorry for holding you. Good morning to you.
Hi there, Greg. How are you?
I'm good, and I think you're approaching this conversation about painting of nails and what have you from a broader perspective, in that are you of the view that they shouldn't be in these environments at all, be it for boys or girls?
Well, I'm just wondering how safe they are. I'm not a parent, so I have no skin in that game. I'm somebody who grew up on tractors, so I'm all for everybody experimenting with everything, but just from a health and safety point of view, I know that I have asthma and I always have a terrible time with the fumes from nail polish, and I just wondered if it's actually safe to have them around children. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a simple question, one we'll explore. Listen, Claire, short and to the point and on topic. Thank you so very much indeed. Quick break, then the news at 11.
The 9 till noon show, sponsored by Sony Centre, Letterkenny. Discover the best in tech, TVs, soundbars, noise-cancelling headphones, mirrorless cameras and more. Best deals guaranteed. Shop in-store or at sonycentre.ie.
With 99.9% broadband reliability, nothing can stop your play. There's no interruptions, hiccups or glitches. No unexplained absences or mysterious disappearances. It will not leave you hanging, high and dry or up a creek. This is broadband that will never let you down, nor turn around and desert you. Get 99.9% full fibre broadband reliability from Virgin Media. It's playtime.
T's and C's apply, subject to availability. See virginmedia.ie/proof.
Dunnes Stores is your one-stop shop for unforgettable parties. Choose from our biggest ever selection of party food, starting with a delicious range of finger food like king prawn toasties and an indulgent selection of cheeses. Mix and match any 3 for $2 and impress your guests with frozen party favourites like spicy barbecue chicken tacos, also 3 for $2. Plus, you can save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used to next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Nutria's Lamb Finisher ATP is now on promotion at your local Homeland. Buy 10 bags and get 1 free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. Nutria's Lamb Finisher ATP contains 16% crude protein for an ideal balance of energy and protein, with intake booster for faster finish. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrias.ie for full product details.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
You join us for the World Final Chip Sizzle Freestyle Contest, and the team from Charlie's Chips are in the lead. What a team, look at them go. They're coming up to the finishing pan, and once again, Charlie's Chips are the winners. Served with mouth-watering burgers, fresh battered fish or delicious chicken. And there's a great selection of gluten-free options now also on the menu. All available to take away or sit in Tuesday to Saturday from 12 to 8. When the hunger hits, pull into to Charlie's on Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock, time for a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Letterkenny University Hospital has been the 8th most overcrowded hospital in the country so far in 2024. An analysis of the first 10 months of the year was carried out by the INMO, and it shows that between January 2nd this morning, there was 4,145 admitted patients waiting in Letterkenny in beds, 1,524 of them on emergency department trolleys. Nationally, the figure is in excess of 100,000. A Donegal senator and general election candidate is calling for jam cards to be rolled out across all government departments. The initiative, designed to be discreetly to aid people with hidden disabilities who need extra time or support in interactions, are called Just a Minute cards. Senator Nicky Bradley believes the cards could be rolled out across all government departments in a bid to be a crucial step in equal access and support for all disabilities. The Garda Commissioner says he's never come across a case like that of missing schoolboy Kyron Duran. The former family home of the 8-year-old is being searched for a third day in Dundalk in County Louth. Wasteland at the back of the property is being combed for clues in connection with the disappearance of the boy who is missing, presumed dead. Anti-wind county development plans are undermining the country's climate action targets. That's the claim from Wind Energy Ireland, which says planning remains the single biggest barrier to end our dependency on imported fossil fuels. CEO Noel Cunniff says the newly passed planning bill will help, but it's really worrying that one new wind farm has been approved by Bord Pleanála between July and September. A yellow box is to be installed in incoming lanes on the N56 4-lane road for outgoing traffic entering the Cullion Road. The issue was raised by Councillor Donald Coyle, who was told the work is being done in the coming months and has been delayed because of works being done as part of the contractor's maintenance period. And finally, Ballyshannon Gardaí made an arrest yesterday morning for suspected drug driving. During a routine mandatory intoxicant testing checkpoint, they stopped a driver who tested positive for cannabis. The motorist was subsequently arrested and a blood sample was taken for analysis. That's all for now from Highland Radio News. We'll be back with headlines at 12 noon.
Thank you very much indeed, Donna Marie. We'll be back with much more of your comments and other content after we take a quick break.
Disney Plus proudly presents Rivals.
Come to the Cotswolds.
Based on the best-selling novel by Dame Jilly Cooper.
Sneaking around, lying, betrayal.
It's genius. Starring David Tennant.
I'm gonna destroy you.
You know you're dancing with the devil.
Everyone wants to get on top.
Come on.
Rivals, now streaming exclusively on Disney Plus. From $9.99 a month. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Okay, very welcome back to the programme. We'll be joined by our next guest shortly, but it gives us an opportunity to go through some of your comments coming in. Let's be honest, these killers of Sean Rooney will never face justice. Both sides wants to annihilate each other, get the UNIFIL Irish soldiers out before there's a lot more of Sean Rooney's. This operation of UNIFIL in Lebanon is an expensive sham with no positive outcome, believes a listener there. Just listening to the topic of children and play schools regarding nail varnish. I'm not sure about the play school setting in regards to whether it should be applied or not. I think that's a different topic, but as parents and adults, we need to remember most men, singers, some famous, wore nail varnish. It was a trend, not a girl or a boy or transgender thing. Goths, etc. They've been wearing nail varnish for years and it was never discussed as a transgender topic. I think we're getting too hung up on all of this. Whatever your child is going to be, they're going to be. And why not let them have fun and explore in both a home setting and play school? We are only here for a short time, no matter what or who you are. I agree. I understand exactly where you're coming from. And again, I'm not pushing or anti any agenda whatsoever. But back in the day, you know, I know the people that you're talking of, the rock bands, David Bowie and what have you. You know, if they feminized themselves, it was seen as they weren't transgender, right? So that was seen as, I mean, people would be familiar with transvestism, if such a word exists. So they're two kind of different things, and it's very hard to separate them at the moment because of the national conversation that's happening in relation to transgender ideology, and we're hearing stories of men changing their gender and in women's prisons and women's spaces. Some people are concerned about people born male in women's spaces. So it's very pertinent at the moment, and it was inevitable, I think, when we started talking about this, that some listeners would make that connection, because it's a very hot topic at the moment. Should children not be taken to see pantomimes because they would see men dressed as women and vice versa? Yeah, indeed. That's another thing, though, that feeds into the controversial issues I was talking about just before I read that text. So basically, we've just made up 72 genders. I heard protected in legislation. Just waiting on. But you see, they're not protected in legislation. The legislation, again, and I'm just trying to come from all of these arguments. What the legislation says, that if someone wants to identify as, I don't know, a table, right? I'm not being disrespectful. What it means is that you can't hate on them just because of that. You could say, it is absolutely stupid, it's ridiculous, what are you doing? The world's gone mad, this should not be allowed, people like that should get help. You can say all of that, but what you can't do is you can't go up to them and you can't say, you're a this, that, blah, 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 and you're clearly a something or other because of your gender. So that's what it means. If that goes too far, that's fine. It doesn't recognise 72 genders. It recognises that there are more genders than male and female. So you can get your senators; they'll put a figure on at 72. You can get a minister puts a figure on of 9. But the bottom line is it's infinite. It's any number over 2. Is the truth. The legislation is set out as such that it's any gender at all, yet to be invented. So I'll read this text in its fullness. So basically, that person's not in just yet, in case you want to chase that up. So basically, we've just made up 72 genders. I heard protected in legislation. Just waiting on a court case from some offended gender to come along to decide who can say what anymore. No one is looking at the feature anymore. The conversation you just had about kids in play schools may well become a thing of the past, because once it's protected, you're basically silenced. But you're on. The thing is it's demonstrably not true that you're silenced, because you can say whatever you like. You can have an opinion on whatever you like, but you can't. You cannot cross the line based on someone's gender, their sexuality, their disability, or what have you. So what people who are opposed to this seemingly want to be able to do is break the law in addressing someone, really, because that's the only thing you can't do. As I say, this came in Scotland. Everyone thought it would mean this, that, and done. Bottom line is you can say whatever you like, but there also has to be a crime attributed to the words before it can even be progressed. Hi, Greg. In relation to the nail polish issue, honestly, with all the horrible things happening in the world, getting upset over a little boy wearing nail polish definitely shouldn't be high on the priorities. If my son came home with nail polish, I'd ask if he liked them and say they look lovely. Such a silly thing to get upset over. I'm a 66-year-old man. At 5 years old, a teacher put bows in my hair. I paid no heed at the time, but got a lot of slagging from other pupils. To me, the child will get some abuse from this. Teachers should not do that to 4 or 5-year-olds. Now, this is in a childcare setting where there is an innocence that I don't think would lead to bullying. Now, if we were talking about in primary school, I think... I've never forgotten the mockery, though, this listener says, I was subjected to by older students. Teachers should think how this will make kids view other kids. Time to reset the button and start with the old normal. Are you saying switch 2024 off and on and see how we get on? Is that what you're suggesting there? In regards to the nail painting of at play school, if my child came home and told me they weren't allowed to take part in something because of their gender, I would feel so sad for them and be really annoyed. At the end of the day, it is the adults making this into something that it isn't. Children are playing and exploring their world. Let them be children. Interesting comment too there, which kind of has me thinking. Right, we are joined on the programme now by Dr. Conor Mitchell, who's the lead GP, Community Healthcare Network Office, Sligo, South Donegal. Good morning to you, Doctor. Thanks so much for your time.
Hi, thanks very much for having me.
Good. Now, a conversation today in various elements has been, talking about the welfare of our children, and we're continuing in that vein, really, because the HSE is urging parents to ensure children are up to date with their vaccines ahead of mid-term break. So why, particularly at this time of year, is it timely to put this information out there?
It's timely because, firstly, we've finally got the vaccines in, okay? Flu, as we should all be aware is a serious illness, and it can be especially dangerous in children. We know that children are twice as likely as adults to catch the flu and can spread flu easily. Children are more likely than adults to be very sick from flu. The main groups of patients that end up in hospital are children and then the elderly as well. Okay, so vaccinating children protects them, protects their siblings, protects their parents, their grandparents, and those who are vulnerable in the community. Children are much more likely to spread the flu virus in the community. So if we can vaccinate children, reduce down that spread, we reduce down some of the pressures on the health service in different areas, whilst also protecting children as well.
Just in relation to the flu vaccine now, it has been designed that it's needle-free, prick-free. Children can get it up the nose effectively.
It is. It's a nasal vaccine. So it's what we call a live attenuated vaccine. It's 2 little sprays up both nostrils with one vaccine. It's been used for decades in the United States and in other European countries, and has been proven to be highly safe.
Is it likely to and effective? I think I talked over you when you said that. After a child gets the free nasal spray flu vaccine, are they likely to have a little spike in temperature, feel a little bit unwell or anything?
Yeah, a little bit like all vaccines, we can have some side effects from them. The nasal vaccine is no different. We can have some mild malaise, an increased temperature, some nasal symptoms, feeling a little bit off, but these symptoms should really resolve in 2 to 3 days, or 1 to 2 days, really. Okay. In very rare cases, they can be more severe side effects. Okay, but once again, these are extremely rare.
In relation to RSV, who can get the RSV immunisation, and why should they?
So the RSV vaccine is being brought out and is being expanded upon in the community. It's now part of our childhood vaccine. Why should RSV? Because RSV can cause what's called a bronchiolitis. It can cause different medical illnesses, and once again it leads to increased hospitalization for our young patients. Young patients are more vulnerable to these viruses and can become much sicker with them.
And is RSV at this stage most likely to be offered to newborns?
Yeah.
And the parents make a choice at that stage. So your appeal is to say accept the offer of the RSV immunization. There's no catch up or anything like that out in the community.
No,
broadly.
there's no catch up.
So that is if you're due to have a baby or about to have a baby. And babies could be particularly vulnerable to this, especially premature babies, but not exclusively.
Yeah, and I think it's
yes,
important
go ahead,
to kind of
Doctor.
reiterate. Yeah, I think it's important to reiterate then as well to pregnant mothers. There is also the whooping cough vaccine as well. There's the flu vaccine for them as well. Whooping cough vaccine protects baby from whooping cough after they're born. You know, we're all struggling kind of what's called in the healthcare field at the moment with kind of increased numbers. We're reading about it every day in the newspapers about hospitalizations and everything else. This is one way that we as a community, as a society, can decrease that need by reducing down viral loads in the community, by reducing down viral spread, and vaccines are one of the best ways of doing that.
From a medical perspective, I completely get it. From a PR perspective, not quite as much, although it's very important, and we can tease that out, to group COVID-19 vaccination in with flu and RSV, because I think there's a lot of acceptance that the flu vaccine is tried and tested. The RSV is proven as well, but there's still quite a bit of controversy over COVID-19. But what's your views in relation to the vaccination of children with that vaccine, and which children?
With COVID, so really we're looking at children who have an increased medical need and who are what's called in the cohort in which COVID will potentially produce the most symptoms and lead to higher hospitalization rates, higher morbidity and mortality in those patients. So we're really recommending what's called, for those patients to go ahead and vaccinate.
Port of call GP, is it?
Sorry?
The port of call is your GP?
Port of call, well, there's 3 real areas. So GP, pharmacy, or school. There are school vaccination teams as well going around. So it might be worthwhile talking to your school to see if that's a possibility. Otherwise, many GP surgeries are running vaccination clinics, many pharmacies as well. Main thing is it's free, it's easily available, there's plenty of stock. Okay, so these are all issues when COVID was rampant, where stock was an issue. Okay, at the moment, there's plenty of stock in the community.
And just in relation to the flu, I presume for the child flu vaccine, this nasal-free spray, the free nasal spray, sorry, it's the same as the traditional one in that this changes annually, doesn't it? It's formulated maybe on trends that we've seen in the Southern Hemisphere previously, and that allows us to know what's going to come here?
Exactly. That's exactly what's happened. Is they've looked at trends, what's called 6 months out, found what viral strains they believe are going to be spread and the most virulent and the most can have the most danger to our patients, and they're the ones that have been formulated to be included in these vaccines. Even what's called vaccination with these strains can reduce down your susceptibility to other strains as well, which is really important to get. You know, we often hear about people picking up maybe illnesses after having the flu vaccine and its efficacy, but actually your question is, it's more than likely it's a reduced response after that flu vaccine.
Very finally, Adahi commented they want to poison kids' immune systems. There are more natural therapies. Just from my perspective, before I get yours, I mean, let's not forget there was a very high morbidity rate amongst children with lots of things through the generations. Now we have medicine to help offset some of that. But also, you know, I've had very young children suffering the impacts of some of these conditions. It's not very, very pleasant, and I would do anything to try and avoid it. And I'm thinking of the RSV vaccine particularly in there as well as the flu vaccine.
I completely agree. I have 3 children. I've had my son in Sligo Hospital on a ventilator at one stage, on oxygen nasal drip at another for a different viral illness. I would look at anything to try and avoid that situation and try to avoid,
especially tried and tested,
having to go through that again.
Tried and tested systems. Okay,
and that's the thing. These vaccines are tried, they are tested, they are recommended by the WHO. There's plenty of supporting material behind them.
Is there a particular issue with whooping cough at the moment? Someone's saying they're of the impression that there are high levels of cases in Donegal at the minute. I'm not sure if you have that data in front of you.
I don't have that data in front of me at the moment, but I would imagine that with the schools going back and with creches back as well, that what's called viral illnesses have increased.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much indeed for your time. Take care of yourself. I do appreciate it. That was Dr. Conor Mitchell, and as I say, look, there's controversy around certain vaccines, but there's others that have been there for ages, and I understand. My concern is sometimes I have the concern myself. My vaccine hesitancy in one area, not for it to overlap into another, that could end up with me in hospital with the young fella or one of the young fellas or something along those lines. Ask that man to send a dentist to the schools and forget about the vaccine. Well, we shouldn't forget about the vaccines necessarily. He's not responsible for dental practices in schools. That's something we've covered quite extensively. An awful lot of young people are missing out on checkups and what have you in the schools. And what's happening is because they're not fixing that problem, you can't get a dental appointment, but you can get an appointment to get your tooth pulled out. Right? We should be doing everything we can to protect children's teeth for as long as we possibly can, but unfortunately the system doesn't seem set up like that.
The 9 till noon show with Sony Centre Letterkenny, Ireland's only Sony store, offering the best deals guaranteed. TVs, soundbars, headphones, cameras, party speakers and much more. Shop in-store or online at sonycentre.ie.
Radical fertilizer restrictions proposed. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we reveal a surprise recommendation that could ban urea sales. Beef factory buyers fighting for cattle ahead of Christmas trade. New multi-million euro nature schemes open for farmers. We investigate how other EU countries control land prices and buyers. With an election looming, we analyse the key farming issues for politicians knocking on your door. And in your new look Irish country living, we speak exclusively to Mary McAleese and Mary Kennedy. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
It's my family, my business. I don't need any help from you people. Keep asking all these questions. Mum and me are fine. I'm gonna leave her alone for 5 minutes. She freaks out. I just don't know how to help her. Note said she's not coming back. I've got no family, no friends. Came over yesterday. Things are kind of normal again thanks to you listening to me every week. I'm feeling better, you know.
Bernardo's changed many children's stories, but we can't without your support. Please donate today at bernardos.ie because childhood lasts a lifetime.
On Business Matters this week, my guest is Dublin-based Donegal woman Elaine Noonan, the founder and chief executive of Community Connect, Ireland's first nationwide baby bank charity. So join me, Chris Ashmore, on Business Matters after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Thinking of getting a new car in 2025? Why not get one in 2026 as well? Buy a selected 251 Nissan and we'll replace it with a 261 Nissan for free. For details about this and all our 251 offers, contact your local Nissan dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
11:21. Our focus now is Sculmora Milford, and we've two guests in studio with us. We've got Father Stephen Gorman, who's chair of the Board of Management of Sculmora Milford. Good morning, Father.
Good morning,
Thank
Greg.
you very much. Good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
And Louise McLarnon, who's drawn the straw, I believe, and is coming in speaking to us on behalf of the Milford Parents Association. Right, so, and this whole conversation really is all about the need for a new primary school in Milford. What is there at the moment is not suitable. It's not fit for needs. It's not suitable for the students. I presume it's not suitable for the teachers, and I presume the parents would love to see improvements there.
Yeah.
So, Louise, if you don't mind, I might start with you and just give us a sort of an overview of the school and why it's so important that it is replaced.
Good morning, Craig. First, I would just like to point out that we're blessed with the staff that we have in the school. Our children are nurtured and cared for in every way. They do an immense amount of good work with the facilities that are there, even though the school is in a complete and utter state of dereliction. For example, our students are being taught in classrooms of sizes of 49 square metres, and the current standard classroom being built today is 80 square metres.
Wow.
They're also being taught in overcrowded areas such as corridors, storerooms. We have...
Whoa. Let's not rush through this.
Yeah.
Because this is really quite significant. And I think particularly off the back of our last conversation about the spread of infection and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
As you say, the staff are having to work in very difficult situations, but the schoolrooms are cramped, and the other areas of the school, such as halls and what have you, they're having to be used as actual teaching spaces.
Yeah, from time to time. One storeroom has now been converted into a full-time classroom.
Right.
We had one small hall that would be classed as a recreation area, which the children used to be able to use for on rainy days for PE. That currently is holding four support teachers teaching a number of students at any one time. So it's divided into four by just small partitions.
And am I right in saying some of these rooms that children are being taught in actually don't have windows?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, from time to time.
From time to time. Or if they do have windows, they're extremely high up and can't be accessed to be opened, or if they are opened, they can't be accessed to be closed.
Yes. Now, also, let's not forget that this school was built in the 1950s. That's almost 75 years ago.
Absolutely.
So we're in a very different space down the line. And I'm going to bring Father Stephen in a moment. I just want to the picture painted from a parent's perspective. So then when it comes to, say, for instance, bathroom breaks or toilet facilities, what's the situation there?
We have 219 pupils accessing a small number of toilets, 1, 2, in different areas of the school. They have no running warm water. We have 33 staff, and that doesn't include visiting staff like nurses and educational support staff, and they have one bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So 33 permanent staff with one bathroom.
One toilet. It's just a toilet and a sink. It's not like
washing
there's not
facilities.
There's not a proper washing facility. There's no shower.
No.
It's very primitive, Greg.
Yeah.
Extremely primitive.
Now, just back to facilities then. Let's talk about outside space, because we know how important it is for children. Firstly, I think they should be able to see outside whilst they're inside. But anyway, then in terms of sort of outdoor facilities, because in getting more accommodation, it's eaten into already limited outdoor space, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that.
So we were awarded 2 modular classrooms last year. One is a mainstream classroom and one is an autism classroom. Now, while this was welcomed, it actually ate into our very sparse recreation area. We have no grass area for the children to play on. Breaks have to be staggered. When the children are allowed out, they're playing on rough tarmac, so you can imagine kids playing football. There are daily falls, daily tears, daily splits, daily cuts. So there is no space to move any more accommodation of classrooms onto our area, given the fact that we're already cramped and the recreation space that they have outside is virtually non-existent, and the fact that breaks have to be staggered is also
and it's a landlocked,
chaos for
like
school.
the site itself, Greg, it's landlocked, so it's less than 2 acres, and there's nowhere to extend, and even the play area for the children, it's sloped and it's tarmacked, it's that kind of a rough gravel, and like we're the whole time, you know, like our first aid kit is probably one of the biggest expenses, you know, because they're like young fellas and young girls want to play football and different things like that. We have no green grass.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
and it's
so Father Stephen Gorman. Then, in terms of options, okay, we're going to speak about, because you have had quite senior politicians out on site, right? But in terms of, you say it's a landlocked, limited site. So, what are the development opportunities? So, if, say, for instance, development was greenlit, it wouldn't be built on the current site, or what's the solution there? Does the site have to be acquired?
We're very fortunate, Greg, that an offer of a site has been made to the Board of Management, okay? But that offer is not going to last forever, okay? So we have been offered 5 acres of prime development land to build a new school at no cost to the Department of Education. So
the land has been gifted?
It's been gifted.
Wow.
So that has been gifted.
What a head start.
So Greg, just to give a bit of thing, I have met the Minister for Education twice, okay?
Norma Foley, that is?
Norma Foley. Yeah. Norma Foley has come to the school in Milford. She visited the classroom that has 4 teachers teaching. And Greg, the funny thing is that partition, we use the polling booths to divide up that room.
Like, what was her reaction to that?
Oh, she wanted to get out of the room very quick. She didn't. She just turned and got out. And then we showed her the other classrooms. Were like, we have one classroom that's only 29 meters squared, and there's 15 children, a teacher, and an SNA in that room. Like, Greg, it's around the same size as this room that we're in now. It's like it's beyond belief what is going on in Milford. Like, and I'm on the board for the last 6 years. I've been 6 years in Milford. Louise has been on the Parents Association for 8 years. We have been working with the Department of Education for this proposal for a new school for Milford. They know that, like, they know my name, they know about the Board of Management. We have met with the Minister for Education as early as May of this year when she was in Letterkenny again, and they kept saying to us, the big block in Milford is that you don't have a site. We told them in February of this year, we have been gifted a site, and we are not getting anywhere because the Minister is not listening to us, or it's fallen on deaf ears. She's really just not.
But she's not the first minister. I mean, that's not the first minister you've engaged with either. I mean, we did have a Donegal-based education minister, let us not forget.
Yeah, and we met with Minister Joe McHugh as well. He had also visited the school, and he passes our school on a daily basis to go to his own hometown in Carrygart. But like I have been working with all the political parties on this. Like, we got this issue raised in the Senate, we got it raised in the Dáil. We've been working with retired members of the Oireachtas. You know, we've been working with anybody that is willing to hear us out and to try and push our cause for a new school. But it just seems that the Minister for Education is not listening to our situation. She has seen it for herself. She knows that we now have a site, and this is our opportunity now, Greg. We're not going to sit back any longer.
Yeah, the patience has run out by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
I never realised the scale of the school, the amount of staff and students. What about when it comes to lunchtime, or what have you? What happens in that situation?
Well,
it's also staggered breaks. They have to.
We'll give the idea of the staff room.
The staff don't have anywhere to go. The staff room has, where we have our Parents Association meetings, also has virtual holes in the floor. The floorboards are rotten. There is one which you would describe as a kitchen table, which will seat 8-10 at a squeeze for 34 staff. the kids have to have staggered breaks, so they're giving them a minimum amount of time to eat their lunch. So there are days where the lunch comes home, and why is it home? Because we didn't have time to eat it, because they have to eat theirs and get outside to allow the others to eat theirs so they can get outside. So they're back in before the others are allowed back out. So it's very much...
It doesn't... It also sort of seems to be anti where we're going at the moment. It's separating children, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel right, does it, that you've got children there that won't interact with other children purely because of the way things have to be staggered.
Yeah, and it's a shame, and it's not fit for purpose, and it's a shame. And our children are happy children, but they know no better.
But Greg, we've even had to separate so the school gate opens onto a road.
Yeah, we're looking at it here for those watching the programme. Yeah,
there's not even a footpath outside the front door of the school. So we've had to actually stagger some of the leaving times for the pupils as well, so that we are trying to make it safe. I have given a list. The Garda and Garda Síochána have been informed many times of people being knocked down and different things that have been happened with children outside of the school. One of the superintendents said to us, and I quote, he says, "The current location of the school in Milford from a road traffic safety viewpoint is questionable."
No, yes,
it's questionable.
I think he's been quite reserved in that commentary, looking at it here. Both of you stay right where you are, if you don't mind. I'll try as best as possible that you can listen to this next commentator, but I won't get you to put headphones on. Sheila Friel, former teacher, deputy principal, and parent of 5 children who went to that school, and knows all about this for a very long time. Sheila, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Father Stephen. Good morning, Louise. Greg, thank you for speaking to me.
How far back does this go, Sheila?
It goes back to 1959 when the school opened. In 1955, the parents in Milford went on strike and removed the children from school because of the poor sanitation and the rats and all of those problems. Eventually got a new school in 1959 with 3 classrooms and 2 cloakrooms. And from the day and hour it opened, the school was too small. And eventually, in 1966, they got 1 extra classroom, which is what the main building now consists of, 4 rooms. And they got toilets added on. The school, that was in 66. In 1970, 2 classrooms had to be sent. In 1959, classes had to stay in the old school. In 1970, 2 classes had to be sent to the Milford Hall, the parochial hall, and they were taught there for a year because there was no room. Carneganahan School had closed, and 13 children and a teacher came from Carneganahan to Milford, so the school ended up too small. 2 classes were taught there. However, because the conditions were obviously not ideal in the supper room and the hall, parents again withdrew children from the school or from the hall, and they were then squeezed back in and ended up being taught in a cloakroom. Now, whatever you might accept that in 1970, this is 2024, and children are back being taught in small areas. As Louise and Father, I'm only reiterating, as a parent, obviously, I had 5 children through the school in that time, kind of in the 80s and 90s. In 1992, I was the parents' rep on the Board of Management. I was teaching myself in Strabane at the time, and I actually, dare I say it, I took a day off to go to Dublin with the Board of Management. And Father Seamus Gallagher, the late Father Seamus Gallagher, who was a priest at the time, Martin McGonigal, who was principal at the time, the late Frank Hannigan, who was the bishop's rep, and myself went to Dal Éireann. The late Neil Blaney. Liam Aylward we met, yes, who was junior minister. We eventually, out of that meeting, in 1996, the 6th class and the multipurpose room were opened. But the multipurpose room was too small then, and it's too small now. And as Louise and Father Stephen have said, it's being used as classrooms.
Just one thing before I let you go. Obviously the new curriculum it would be hard, particularly in the area of maths. the facilities don't permit the curriculum to be used as
They don't.
designed.
Although I've retired, I work part-time with Hibernia, the teacher training college. I'm actually heading into Ardra at the moment on the road to visit a student. Now, these students are being trained in the new curriculum. I'm being trained in the new curriculum. It's a very practical curriculum. Most of the school curriculum now is very practical. A lot of people who haven't been in school for years still think that school is you sit on a seat from 9 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock. No, you don't. Children now are allowed to move. It's a child-centred curriculum. And therefore you need space. You need space to let them move about. You need space for them to change. They don't work with the same people or the same group all the time. They move from groups to groups. They're meant to be stations and areas set up, a reading station, a writing station, an area maybe where you do poetry or you do a bit of art. There's no room. As Louise said, some of the classrooms in Milford are 49 square metres. They should be 80 square metres. They're tiny. They're so old-fashioned. The staff, the facilities. I mean, when I left Milford, the staff room was too small. And it was a staff room that Martin McGonigal, due to him, had added on. It was just built, and it was built by local men. It was added on separate from the building. It was far too small. The staff has tripled since I left. And an excellent staff. The staff and the teaching assistants and the principal in Milford School are bar. They are the top of the top. They really are. They're exceptional staff.
Sheila, listen,
and they deserve...
I beg your pardon. Sorry,
they deserve better.
Of course, and thank you for making that point. And it's amazing, actually, really interesting to get the history of that, Sheila. Thank you for that. Enjoy the rest of your day. I do appreciate it. Now, for those watching, we're looking at some images here, which my guests in the studio can't see, but it's of the classrooms, and they are recent pictures, and these spaces are incredibly cramped. I'm looking at the partition there, but how some of these rooms are partitioned. That's not an environment where we get the best of our young people, I'm afraid.
No, like it's not, Greg. It's not good enough. Like it's like I have been, journeying with the Department of Education for 6 years, but my predecessors have been also doing this. Like we have reached the end of the line. The Parents Association has said, right, we are going to this is another step. We're not going away. Mm-hmm. We are going to get this school. The minister needs to start listening.
Well, we have a minister in this county. Have you managed to secure a meeting with Minister Charlie McConnell?
Yes.
I'll ask you, Louise.
Thankfully, this morning, Minister McConnell's office came back to us.
Oh, wow.
And said,
and when did you request that meeting?
We actually requested the meeting on Monday of this week.
Okay.
Or Friday. Friday it was. It was
Friday
after
last
a meeting
week.
on Thursday, yeah.
So, and this morning you got notification.
So this morning they emailed back to say that we will have a slot with him tomorrow. The representatives will have a slot with him tomorrow at 3:45. So we're hoping.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, we're very grateful for that, and we're hoping that maybe he'll be able to understand the issue a little bit better, and he will help us get some resolve.
Brilliant, because he's made some good announcements about schools in recent
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Let's hear it a parent's perspective. Maggie Y. Donald, thanks for your time today.
Imagine way, Greg, Foster, good morning to Louise and Father Stephen.
You're a parent, so you know all about this. What's your assessment of the school? And I think we can all agree, teachers, management, they're doing a fantastic job in difficult circumstances. But from a facilities perspective, Donald?
Well, I think that's the complete common thread that we have throughout this, the magnificent and amazing staff that we have within the school at the moment, and the job that they are doing under such horrendous cramped conditions is just second to none. And the campaign that that we're involved in now, and seeking a new school for the children has to be paramount. As you know yourself, possibly from passing up and down, that it's located at the very corner on the main road. There's secondary schools within the close proximity as well. You have wholesale premises up on the same Convent Road there as well, and there's just a mass amount of congestion at various times. As been stated, the facilities are so outdated for what's needed in today's age. And I would just be calling now in the throes of a general election for our elected members and the government parties that we currently have in government to fully step up to the plate and deliver a new school for the people of Mulford and the children and what's needed. And just to completely compliment again the staff and Principal McVeigh and all the people that are there working diligently, and what they are providing and giving to the children is second to none in such horrendous conditions. And I suppose it's until you see what they're actually getting on a daily basis and not knowing how difficult it is to give the level of standard of education that they are given. This is what's so unique about what we have within the training staff within the National School.
And I think, too, the message here, Donal, is that, you know, and I'll say goodbye to you, Donal, actually. Thank you so much for so much for that insight into it. But I think, and I'll put this to Louise and Father Stephen here, I think the message here is that there's been periods of patience that parents have had, and then they came to a tipping point. And we heard from our caller before last that the action has been taken in the past. We're not maybe necessarily there yet, but whatever patience has existed heretofore, Father Stephen, that has now been exhausted.
Yeah.
This is a tipping point here.
Like, just there in the last couple of weeks, the staff have come to me and said, listen, Father Stephen, we are at the end of our tether with us. Like, you know, we know that they know that I've been fighting for them, trying to get this new school. So I said to them, well, I says, if you want to do something, you can. So they wrote their own letter to Minister Foley outlining how bad things were. They says on the first thing they said on there, well, the one thing they said, we have one staff toilet in our main building. We have 40 minutes for our breaks daily, and for many, much of their break is used queuing for this facility. Like, Greg, it's in this day and age, you know, people coming to work, men and women coming to work, having to queue for a toilet. You know, like, they've 33 members of staff. They don't have adequate parking facilities around the school, with secondary schools situated on either side of them. 219 children trying to get into the school. They said there's no hot water for the toilets, even for the staff to wash their hands. No running hot water in the school. The hall or the multi-purpose room is for 4 teachers. Like, if you imagine that you're trying to teach 3 or 4 children that you've brought out of a classroom into this, and then you can overhear the other 3 teachers teaching, like, that's very frustrating.
And this is also the room as well, as Father Stephen, that the SNAs would use for OT therapy with their students. It's the room...
Photocopying.
Yeah, at the same room. It's also supposed
art
to be...
supplies. It's also the library.
It's also the quiet space for SNAs to bring their children when they need... You know, sometimes children with additional needs just need their quiet space. They don't have that.
Yeah, listen, the iron is currently hot, right? So there is an election. I think what can the wider population of Milford do? They can make sure if anyone calls round to the house that this issue's raised. Ask directly, what are you going to do about this school? Secondly, of course, too, on election day, I think there's something of a silent protest.
There is going to be a silent protest. The Parents Association, Louise, are organising that.
We don't want, you know, we're not looking for an argument. We're not looking for a fight. We just want, you know, in this day and age, we want what is right for the kids in the school. 8 years I've been a member of the Parents Association, and 8 years this has been kicked down the line. We've now been gifted a site, which is an ideal location. The site's not going to be there forever. We need to act now.
I'm distracted here. I'm watching a video of that someone sent in to us of the school, and with the best will in the world, the kids are jam-packed into there.
Oh.
And if the truth be told, there's probably only the space for the furniture in those rooms.
Absolutely.
The kids are actually the excess.
Yeah.
That is not a suitable environment. And looking at some of the other rooms, long rectangular rooms, that's not a pleasant environment.
No.
As hard as you might try, it's
kids
amazing
when
you actually see something. It's amazing how it becomes more apparent. Rooms not fit for purpose either.
On that letter,
guidelines. Sorry, go ahead, Father. I was just taken aback by the actual video.
Oh, like itself. Greg, it's like people just want to understand how primitive this is in like 2024. Like on this letter that the staff wrote to the Minister for Education says, we feel that our current school is hindering our abilities as a staff to educate our children. Like for that to be said in 2024. And they said that they don't even feel that they're able to support each other. And they said, we plead with you, Minister, to consider our application. And we are just hoping and praying that the Minister for Education will hear us and listen to us, because, you know, we are getting nowhere, Greg. It is just, it's shocking.
And also I'd like to point out, if you were in a private working sector and you were told that you're going to come to your work on a daily basis, share a toilet with 34 of your colleagues, male and female, with no hand washing facilities other than cold water, and nowhere to have your lunch or your breaks, or if you wish to have it, you're going to have to stagger your
Yeah,
breaks.
and I would say too, in terms of accessibility for children with additional needs, there's an awful lot of steps and drops, and I mean, that building is not an inclusive building.
No, absolutely not.
Despite the best will in the world.
There isn't even an area for an ambulance to pull up at that school.
No. Yeah, 42 boys, 3rd, 5th and 6th. So I'm watching a room here that's split up, as you said, with the elections things. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. And we use the election. So when people go in to vote, the polling booths, we're using the polling booths to corner off the room. And then we're using the library books as well to hold, you know, to kind of segregate the room into 4.
And also in there's facilities the teachers use, i.e. photocopiers and what have you, in this same
room. And in the corner of that room, there's a sensory room.
Yeah. And the outdoor facilities are pure crap. Pardon my father. Excuse me.
Greg, you're forgiven today.
Will you give me a pass on that one, Father? I'm sorry.
But Greg, we're going to tell you this. We got an ASD unit, 2 modular rooms. Okay, so we have 6 pupils in there. We've had to refuse pupils over the summer months. We can't even start a waiting list. We need a 2nd unit. The demand is so good. So the problem is now we have some children that have a brother or sister in a different school, because we are not able to facilitate them.
Yes.
And
that's very disruptive.
It's very disruptive.
It's really horrible for the young ones.
You know, this wonderful autism modular room that is there, and we're turning away siblings from, you know...
You can't make that make sense. There's
something
serious limits.
There's something seriously wrong.
So I'm not which one of you will commit to it, but you have a meeting with Minister Charlie McConnell tomorrow.
Yeah.
I would love to get an update on that. Maybe we might wait till Tuesday. I don't know how we'll do that. But just in case he needs to go and check stuff, and we give adequate time. All we want is a good news story, isn't it? We'll celebrate that as much as we'll highlight something that needs fixed. If we can get positive news on this,
brilliant.
We'll love that too. School is not fit for purpose. My child's currently in the storeroom, which is a sentence I never thought I'd read in 2024 in the Western world. School is not fit for purpose. My child's currently in the storeroom as a classroom. He often comes home saying that someone has been injured on the tarmac from playing. It's an extremely dangerous spot with traffic, and we feel as parents, until something serious happens, nothing will be done. And so many of the topics we talk about in this program, why are we going to wait till something serious happens?
Something serious has happened.
Yeah.
A device, whenever these modular buildings were being dug out,
an exploded device was
found.
Yeah.
And they want us to dig up that same ground to put in more modular buildings.
And to take away all our yard space. And we refused to take, because that means that children would not be able to go outside.
And the parents have
the site cannot accommodate.
No.
That's when the Parents Association had to have
the site cannot accommodate any more modular buildings.
And then they said, we asked them, could we get the current site scanned? You know, and they said there's nothing in Ireland or the UK to scan the ground for any more devices.
Right, listen, I do have to take a break now because we've ran on a little bit. But we'll keep an eye on this. Looking forward to news from that meeting tomorrow. Yes. Hopefully it's positive. I can't see any further argument that could be made to prove that a new school is required. And as well, you know, the big thing here is someone has gifted land. Now, that's complicated because stuff has to be gone through and assessed, right? But I mean, it is sitting there. Because development in Inishowen was stalled for years and years and years and years because the site wasn't able to be found. Yeah. And yet we're here in Milford with a site available at no cost to the state either, which is quite remarkable. For now, Louise McLarnon, on behalf of Scullmore Milford Parents Association, Gormahigut, thank you so very much. And Father Stephen Gorman, Chair of the Board of Management of Scullmore Milford, thank you. And I think they're very lucky, actually, Father, to have someone in your position advocating so strongly on their behalf. It doesn't happen all the time, but when you can get the board of management and the teachers singing completely off the same hymn sheet, I think it's very, very effective.
And Greg, we want to thank you here at Highland Radio for giving us this opportunity this morning, and we really appreciate all that you do for us and for many other topics here in Donegal. God bless you.
You can come back on any time. Thank you for that. Anything to say, Louise? No,
No.
Listen, both of you, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more shortly.
The 9 till noon show brought to you by Sony Centre Letterkenny. From party speakers to TVs, cameras and camcorders, find it all at Ireland's only Sony store. Free deliveries on orders over €100. Visit sonycentre.ie today.
Just the way I am.
This Bank Holiday Sunday at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal, get ready for a spectacular night with Ireland's most exciting band, the Tumblin' Paddies. Come in your best fancy dress and dance the night away. Tickets on Eventbrite or pay at the door. The Tumblin' Paddies this Sunday.
Do you live in Donegal? Fancy upskilling without breaking the bank? Big Red Cloud, in collaboration with KW and Donegal Education and Training Boards, is offering a series of free, yes free, training programs in bookkeeping and payroll. All courses are available online with flexible learning schedules at times that suit you. Big Red Cloud enables learners with no prior knowledge to upskill in payroll and accounts. Sign up today at bigredcloud.com/training. Free, certified and completed at your own pace. Brought to you by Donegal ETB.
Get the family around for Aldi offers like, you guessed it, delicious cooking bag whole Irish chicken was $6.19, now $5.69 for the roast with the most. Oh, and here we go. Specially selected 32-day matured Irish Angus strip loin steaks was $9.99, now $8.99. However you like your steak, these are rare prices. Make every day delicious with unmissable Board Bia quality assured Super 6 meat offers. Go all Aldi.
Hello, it's Breaching here from McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles in Buncrana. We're thrilled to be celebrating 50 years of quality and service. Come join us on October 25th from 11 to 4:30 for a day of celebration. We're marking 5 decades of serving our amazing community. Everyone is welcome, whether you've been with us for years or it's your first time visiting. There'll be live broadcasts with Highland Radio, loads of prizes to be won, refreshments and a trip down memory lane as we look back at our journey. Remember, at McDade's, we're celebrating 50 years where quality and service always count.
From the morning routines to cosy family moments, Grant has been bringing comfort to homes for over 45 years. With our biofuel-compatible condensing boilers, heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home now and into the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
At SSE Electricity, we're more than just an energy provider. We're your business energy partner. From solar panels to energy audits and more, our expert business energy advisors will tailor a solution to make your business more energy efficient and sustainable. Switch to SSE Electricity today and start building towards a net zero future. Our local customer service team are waiting to talk to you. Visit sseelectricity.com/business. SSE Electricity. This is Generation Green.
The 9 till noon show with Sony Centre Letterkenny. Check out their great range of TVs, headphones, speakers and cameras. Best deals guaranteed. Shop now at sonycentre.ie. Free delivery over €100.
Join us this Thursday at 1 p.m. for another episode of Lunchtime Lives, coming to you live on Facebook from Deirdre's at the Diamond in Carndonagh. We'll be covering all things fashion, from the latest seasonal trends to the must-have wardrobe essentials. We've got expert tips and exclusive looks from Deirdre's collection. That's this Thursday live on Facebook from Deirdre's at the Diamond, Carndonagh.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments brings Smokey and their hits tour to the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny on Saturday the 15th of February 2025. Playing all the classic hits including Living Next Door to Alice, Oh Carol, Mexican Girl and many, many more. Relive the 70s and 80s with Smokey. Tickets on sale now from the Mount Errigal Hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie.
Join David James in the Jive Time Show this Thursday live from Easy Living Furniture at the Crescent Link Retail Park in Derry. We'll be there to find out more about their biggest sale of the year, with up to 60% off absolutely everything in their Oktoberfest sale. We'll have guests, giveaways and more on the day, so join us live this Thursday from the Easy Living Furniture store at the Crescent Link Retail Park. This amazing Oktoberfest sale ends this Bank Holiday Monday or while stocks last.
Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, supporting you with the right footwear. Hoka Trainers. Have you tried the Hoka Sensation yet? Hoka provides comfort, support and shock absorption, which makes them a good choice for frequent runners and walkers, or anyone whose job requires standing for the majority of the day. For support or pronation, try the Arari 6. For maximum cushioning, try Hoka Bondi 8. Check in store or shop online at bmcsports.ie. Step into our safe size experience at Brian McCormick Sports.
Do you own an XL Bully? If so, it's important to know that ownership laws are changing. From October the 1st, it's illegal to import, breed, sell or rehome an XL Bully. If you own one, you can apply for a certificate of exemption from your local authority between October the 1st, 2024 and February the 1st, 2025, which allows you to keep your dog until the end of its natural life. Find out more at gov.ie/XL Bully. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more. Cozy up at home with our finest meal deal. A main, 2 sides and a sauce for only €15. Like Tesco finest Irish corn-fed whole chicken 1.2 kg, finest rainbow root vegetables and finest potato gratin. Then cover it all with a pour of finest poultry gravy. Get more from your shop with your Tesco Club Card or app. Shop in-store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Subject to availability. Prices vary in express stores.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. If you haven't started using the McElhinney's Layaway Club, it's not too late. Spread the cost of Christmas with designer gifts for the whole family. Available by phone or in-store at McElhinney's Ballybuffet.
A bit more rain about in the afternoon, temperatures 12 to 15 degrees. Vincent Jennings is CEO of Convenience Stores and Newsagents Association. Thanks for your time, Vincent. Sorry for delaying you there. I do appreciate it. We're talking about a warning from retailers, a pandemic of crime. What have your members been telling you, Vincent?
Thanks, Greg. Well, it's not us who's using the word pandemic. It's actually the Gardaí themselves. The superintendent is actually using that word, that there's a pandemic of retail crime. And it's not just shoplifting. It's an increase in assaults. It's an increase in burglaries. It's an increase in extortion. It's an increase in insurance frauds, in scams, in various scams, and in an increase in internal theft, all borne out by a survey carried out by the trade magazine Shelf Life, which showed just extraordinary levels of criminality that's being affected upon retailers and abusive behaviour towards staff. And it just has to stop.
A lot of the key findings talk really to a sense that they're out on their own there, that there aren't Gardaí visible. And if Gardaí are called, that most feel the response time is not satisfactory. So there's a sort of a sense of isolation there, I'm getting the impression.
There is. I mean, it's a lonely place behind a counter anyway, believe it or not. But it is even more lonely when you've got somebody inside in the store who's acting in a threatening and abusive fashion. What are you supposed to do? I mean, can you detain them? Do you detain them? If you do, I mean, what's going to happen? So, no, it's just we're not satisfied with the level of response from the Gardaí. And though they are doing an absolutely brilliant job by and large and have brought to task a number of large criminal gangs, you've still got the feral youths, you've got people from different minorities who are just causing mayhem. We've got people going through the countryside, robbing left, right, and centre, and there just doesn't seem to be enough of a reaction to it.
And the losses aren't insignificant. I beg your pardon. The losses aren't
it's not just
insignificant
finance,
either.
It's emotional as well.
Yeah, of course. But even let's just focus on the financials. Over a third talk of financial losses in excess of €10,000. Now, we know how difficult it is to be in business, particularly now. Yeah. Very few businesses could absorb that additional loss to revenue.
Well, one man has already lost for his number of sites over 250,000 last year. Another very large fuel retailer has admitted the level of drive-offs exceeded €1 million. €1 million in drive-offs. I mean, that's not sustainable. I mean, the prices go up as a result, and the staff morale is at its lowest point.
Yeah, I saw yesterday, and I've never seen it before. Chickens with security markers on them. You know, that's where we're at now. High value meat with, like you'd see in an electrical shop with your toasters and ovens and stuff.
Sure.
We're seeing it in retail on chickens and other food prices. And obviously, too, what happens is if there's a lack of enforcement, a lack of Garda present, Vincent, that means people think they've got free reign. So what happens is the problem actually worsens. It doesn't even stagnate because they see it as a crime they can get away with.
No, it's growing. It's growing, and it's growing in the northwest. And in fact, of the latest stats that have come out from the Gardaí, the northwest is showing one of the greatest levels of increases of retail crime.
Okay, Vincent, listen, thank you very much for that. That's Vincent Jennings, CEO of Convenience Stores and News Agents. We are going to take, that's where we have to leave it for today, by the way. We're going to take the news now, actually, and then unfortunately we're going to have to run a break into John's show, but I'm sure he'll be okay with it. Right, we're back with you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock with our Friday panel and with That's Entertainment and all the usual features.